Chapter 1406. Sir, this is the teleportation portal. Angelina brought Liu to the top floor of the wizard tower. There was an exquisite and very sturdy teleportation portal here. Yes, it was very sturdy. In terms of material selection, the entire teleportation portal was cast from solid magic iron. Moreover, the legendary mage had engraved a total of 3 layers of protective rune arrays on this teleportation portal. These protective rune arrays were not to protect the people in the teleportation portal, but to protect this teleportation portal. In order to prevent this self-destructing maniac from blowing up the teleportation portal, the legendary mage had really put in a lot of effort. However, this teleportation portal still could not escape Angelina's vicious hands. The teleportation portal was intact and not damaged. However, there was not a single magic crystal left on the energy nodes of the teleportation portal that should have been inlaid on them to act as energy sources. Mage Angelina, I want to ask, why did you dig out the magic crystals? Liu looked at the empty pits on the teleportation portal and only felt that this Angelina was really King deceitful. She was even more deceitful than him. She even dug out the magic crystals on the teleportation portal. What was she playing at? I ran out of money for an experiment, so I used the magic crystals. Angelina's reason was very strong, and Liu was actually speechless. Wait, you used the magic crystals for an experiment? What experiment were you doing? Magic crystals were energy sources. There was a wizard tower that looked shabby on the outside but was actually equipped with extremely high-end equipment, and you still needed energy? Was the elemental pool in the wizard tower used for bathing? I was researching gemstone magic. I saw from an ancient book that there was a method that could allow people with insufficient mana to cast spells. This is gemstone magic. Angelina's face lit up when she talked about her profession. Every gemstone contains abundant mana. As long as you use mental power to engrave spell models in the gemstones, you can draw out the mana contained in the gemstones to cast spells. In this way, not only can people with insufficient mana cast spells, but they are also not limited by the weave and spell slots. This is a great pioneering work. Oh my God! Liu held his forehead with his hand and was speechless for a long time. Do you know the price of gems? Even if the gemstone magic was real, this kind of spellcasting method could no longer be described as a waste of money. He was smashing gems. No matter how rich your family is, it won't be able to withstand such torment. What you did. Not only did your teacher faint in the toilet from crying, your dad also fainted in the toilet from crying, right? No wonder Angelina was an amateur. No wonder she wanted to study gemstone magic. She didn't have the aptitude to become a magus at all. In order to become a mage, other than having sufficient intelligence, perception and spirit were also essential. If you can't sense mana or condense mana, what kind of spell can you cast? Go home and take care of the children. This was another story about the rise of trash. Unfortunately, no one could withstand the torment of the method she had chosen. If he didn't have enough money, he couldn't afford it at all. You really want to become a mage? You should be very clear about your own flaws. Why are you so persistent? With Angelina's strong backing, there should be other ways to become stronger, right? Why did he have to fight to the death on the path of a mage? Liu was very puzzled by this. I need power. Angelina's voice was a little low. I am the daughter of Grand Duke Liang, the heir of Liang Duchy. I need power to protect myself, my family, and my people. A king without power can't survive in this world at all. This reason was very strong. Liu raised his eyes and glanced at Angelina to check her talent attribute. Then, he understood the reason. She was really a trash protagonist. Apart from Angelina's relatively high intelligence, which had reached the standard of a magus, her other attributes were trash. Unfortunately, her perception and spirit were weak and she couldn't condense mana. No matter how high her intelligence was, it was useless. To obtain power, she could only study the so-called gemstone magic. It seems, this is a very good breakthrough point. The Princess of Lyene, the heir of the duchy, and the disciple of a legendary magus. Such an identity was very suitable. After a trash protagonist obtained a cheat, she would soar to the sky. Wasn't this a perfect plot? Wasn't I the one who gave her a cheat? Angelina, with all due respect, gemstone magus. This path is not feasible at all. Liu sighed and shook his head. Do you think so too? Angelina looked very depressed. That's what teacher said too. I also know that gemstone magus is a joke, but what can I do? I'm just a piece of trash. Apart from gemstone magic, I can't learn any power. No. Angelina, there's another path. The great conman Li had already entered a state of bluffing. There are many unknown powers in this world. What people understand and master is only a small part of them. But I have already discovered a new power. A new power? What's that? A hint of anticipation flashed in Angelina's eyes. Even if there was only a little hope, people in despair would work hard to fight for it. Holy light. This is the power of the holy light. Liu stretched out his hand. In his palm, a holy and bright light shone. Holy light? Angelina raised her head and looked at the shining light in Liu's palm. A glimmer of hope appeared in her eyes. She stretched out her trembling hand and touched the holy light. Warmth, holiness, vastness, greatness. When she touched the holy light, Angelina felt as if she had come into contact with a sea of light as vast as the ocean and as deep as the starry sky. It was full of endless brilliance, full of holy and great power. What do I need to do? There was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. Angelina naturally understood that there must be a price to pay for something. Your faith. Liu's body shone with holy light. A holy halo appeared above his head, and a pair of glorious wings spread out behind him. Angelina, use your faith to resonate with the holy light. Then, stick to your faith and adhere to the path of the holy light. That's enough. Faith? Does the holy light only require faith? Angelina slowly closed her eyes. My faith is to protect myself, my family, and my people. Boom! When Angelina's faith resonated with the holy light, a holy light shone from her body. Holy and great power surged in Angelina's body like a surging tide. The path of the holy light, the virtue of the holy light. So that's how it is. After personally experiencing the power of the holy light, Angelina realized that the holy light didn't need anything. The holy light only needed you to adhere to its path and strengthen your faith. Is this the power of the holy light? Angelina waved her hand and a ray of holy light rushed out. The light was brilliant and vast. Chapter 1407. Praise the holy light, I finally have power. Angelina opened her arms and cried tears of joy as she looked at the holy light shining all over her body. Then, her tears mixed with the black ash on her face and flowed down like ink. Oh! Only now did Angelina realize how terrible her image was. Sorry, I'll go wash up. Angelina said goodbye to Liu, then turned around and ran away. Do whatever you want. Liu smiled and shook his head. He had successfully hoodwinked Angelina into becoming an ascetic priestess. Liu's situation in Lying Duchy could be considered to have taken the first step. Through Angelina, he could get in touch with the legendary Master Langley. He could also get in touch with the King of Lying Duchy. This was already a very good situation. After waiting for a while in the Wizard Tower, Angelina quickly familiarized herself with it. She tidied herself up and walked out again. She had long blonde hair, blue eyes, and fair skin. To be honest, Angelina was very beautiful. Other than being able to see the tips of her feet when she lowered her head, she didn't have too many shortcomings. Oh holy light, I haven't asked for your name until now. I'm so rude. Angelina bowed to Li Yu, looking a little embarrassed. Victor Serone Antares. Li Yu casually said his name and said to Angelina with a smile, I want to make a trip to Lion City to visit your father and teacher. Can you introduce me to them? Of course. It's my honor. Angelina bowed and took out a few magic crystals from her portal bag. She placed them on the teleportation portal again and activated it. Sir Victor, please. Let's go. Take me to your teacher and father. With that, the two stepped into the teleportation portal. Runes lit up one after another, and the space trembled slightly, opening up a teleportation channel. With a flash of light, Li Yu and Angelina's figures disappeared in an instant. In the next moment, Li Yu and Angelina appeared in Rhine City, thousands of miles away. In front of him was another mage tower. The runes were still flickering. The teleportation room of this mage tower was huge, and it seemed to have traces of spatial magic. It seems that this Master Langley has a deep understanding of spatial magic. Li Yu glanced around the teleportation room and nodded with a smile. Angelina, who told you to come back? You dare to come back? As soon as Li Yu and Angelina stepped out of the portal, an angry roar came from the door. An old man with white hair and a full beard rushed in exasperatedly. Is there anyone else? The white-haired elder rushed into the teleportation room and was stunned when he saw Li Yu standing inside. Teacher, I'm back. I have found my own path. I have my own strength. Upon seeing the old man, Angelina raised her hand to show off. A sacred and bright light lingered in her hand. Huh! This is... The legendary Archmage Langley stared at the shining holy light in Angelina's hand in disbelief. This disciple who could only fiddle with gem magic had actually obtained power? Could she become a professional with her aptitude? This was illogical. This is the power of holy light. Angelina's face was full of excitement. She pointed at Li Yu and introduced, Teacher, this is Sir Victor. Sir Victor gave me the enlightenment of holy light and allowed me to comprehend the power of holy light. Victor? Holy light? Langley looked up at Li Yu and frowned in thought. He felt like he had heard the names Holy Light and Victor somewhere before. Miracle of Holy Light, Amber City. Langley suddenly remembered that he had received a message a few days ago. A miracle of holy light had suddenly descended in the southern city-state of Amber City. A new god had descended, a miracle. This was a major event. As a legendary mage, Langley naturally received the news immediately. So you are the messenger of holy light. A god's chosen had a high status in this world. Even a legendary mage like Master Langley had to show enough respect to a god's chosen. Greetings, Master Langley. Please forgive me for taking the liberty to visit. Li Yu smiled and greeted Langley. Master, I came here this time because I have a very important matter to discuss with you. Is it very important? Master Langley nodded. Sir Victor, this way please. He led Li Yu out of the teleportation room and sat down in the living room of the Mage Tower. Master Langley asked Li Yu, Sir Victor, what do you want to discuss with me? Master, I came from Whiterun. Li Yu sat down in a chair and introduced to Langley. Just some time ago, Whiterun was attacked by evil creatures from the Carmel Mountains. After defeating the evil creatures, we learned a piece of news. At this point, Li Yu's expression became very serious. An ancient red dragon. We discovered that an ancient red dragon was sleeping under the Carmel mountain range. The evil creatures invaded Whiterun because the ancient red dragon was about to wake up. An ancient red dragon. Master Langley suddenly stood up and looked at Li Yu in shock. His hands were trembling. Sir Victor, is it really an ancient red dragon? It seems that you are no stranger to the ancient red dragon. Li Yu nodded with a heavy expression. Although we all hope that it is not an ancient red dragon. Unfortunately, this is the reality. The one sleeping in the underground lava of the Carmel Mountains is an ancient red dragon. That's too bad. Master Langley sighed. The ancient red dragon, the dragon of disaster and destruction. Once it wakes up from its slumber, the entire southern continent will turn into a sea of fire. So, this is why I came to you. Liu began to bluff. I have already united the Amazons and the northern witches, and we are trying to find a way to unite more people. In half a year, the ancient red dragon will wake up. We must kill our way into the red dragon's lair in the Carmo Mountains and get rid of this evil dragon before it destroys the southern continent. Dragon slaying, Langley was silent. As a legendary wizard, Langley knew about the ancient red dragon, which was a terrifying evil dragon. He knew very well how powerful the ancient red dragon was. Dragon slaying. The hope was too slim. Master Langley, would you like to know what the holy light is? Liu said to himself, this is not a pyramid scheme. Then, he reached out to Langley, and a holy light lingered in his palm. The holy light is not a god. The holy light does not need faith. The power of the holy light comes from the faith in people's hearts. The holy light is the supreme power born from the origin of order. As long as our faith conforms to the law of the holy light, we can get the response of the holy light. Hearing Liu's introduction, Langley was very surprised. The holy light is not a god? It doesn't need faith? Yes, teacher. I have experienced it myself. The holy light is faith. I have received the response of the holy light with my faith to protect the people. This is the power I have obtained. Angelina's words dispelled Langley's doubts. No matter what, Angelina would not lie to him. Unfortunately, Langley did not know that pyramid schemes specialized in cheating friends and relatives. Chapter 1408. Master Langley, the power of the holy light is the key to our victory over the ancient red dragon. Liu was not in a hurry to trick Master Langley into becoming a priest of the holy light or a paladin. It would be too impatient to promote a product on their first meeting. Even pyramid schemes had a familiarization period. Moreover, how could promoting compare to someone else snapping up the product? Liu only needed to put out the product. It's really a great power. Master Langley sensed the holy light shining in Liu's palm. The mental strength of a legendary mage allowed him to feel the holy light more clearly and deeply. That was the rule. As a legendary mage, Langley was a top magic scientist, who was already studying the essence of magic and had begun to come into contact with the origin of heaven and earth. In Langley's senses, what he saw was not a vast and boundless sea of light, but a powerful law that ran through the origin of order. The holy light was actually the origin of heaven and earth. No wonder Victor said that the holy light was not God. No wonder the holy light did not need faith. The holy light was a law. Just like magic, just like the nature spells of the Druids, they all originated from the law. So, as a legendary mage, it seems that I can also study the power of the law of the holy light? As long as I study the law of the holy light, I can cast holy light spells just like I cast magic? Magic scientists did not believe in faith, resonance with the holy light, or the response of the holy light. In the eyes of a scientist, everything was knowledge. As long as you mastered the knowledge of the holy light, you could control the power of the holy light. It seemed very valuable for research. I'm not afraid of you having too many ideas. I'm just afraid you don't have any. Master Langley had unknowingly fallen into a trap by catering to his interests. As long as you continue to study, you can only fall into the embrace of the holy light in the end. Liu laughed in his heart. Azeroth's magic scientists, blood elf mages were at the forefront of studying the holy light and controlling the holy light. In the end, they all believed in the holy light. Sir Victor, the threat of the ancient red dragon is right in front of us. As the guardian of Lying Duchy and a legendary mage, I naturally will not back down. If I want to research the power of holy light, I can't do without Sir Victor's support. Therefore, Master Langley immediately declared that he would join the righteous alliance against the ancient Red Dragon. "It's great to have your support." Liu found that Langley had fallen into the trap, so he was naturally happy. "Master, we have now joined forces with the Storm Lord, the legendary Amazon, the Witch Queen of the North, and the legendary Paladin Lord Antares. With your support, our strength has grown even stronger. There are already so many people." Langley secretly heaved a sigh of relief. With so many people around, a legendary mage like him would not seem to be degrading himself. The ancient Red Dragon was very powerful. Once they awakened, the southern countries would face a calamity. For legendary wizards, even if these kingdoms were destroyed, they could still run to other places. But, if there was really a possibility of killing the ancient Red Dragon, it wasn't as if he couldn't contribute. The power of Holy Light, other than its attack power, is even more powerful in terms of healing and defense. If I can master this power, my strength will definitely increase greatly, and it is very possible for my strength to advance further. Mages were all very rational and realistic. What glory, what noble and great sentiments could not fool rational wizards at all. The best way to hoodwink the mages was to tempt them in terms of power and benefits. Master Langley was obviously a very rational legendary mage. Therefore, he rationally came up with a way of doing things that was in line with his own interest. "Sir Victor, can I ask you about the power of Holy Light?" After joining the Righteous Alliance, Langley felt that he was already qualified to make a request that matched his identity. This was also to strengthen the power to fight against the ancient Red Dragon. Of course, Liu was naturally happy to discuss the power of Holy Light with Langley. "If you want to fall into the trap, how can I not give you a push?" Liu's original goal was to trick these legendary powerhouses. "Teacher, Sir Victor, I'll take my leave first." Seeing that Langley wanted to discuss the power of Holy Light with Liu, Angelina didn't plan to stay any longer. The threat of the ancient Red Dragon was right in front of her, and Angelina felt that she had to discuss this with her father. The power of Holy Light seems to be very suitable for the current situation of Lion Duchy. The glory of the Golden Lion has been lost for a long time, and it's time to rise again. In the fight against the ancient Red Dragon, only legendary powerhouses like her teacher could determine the new power, but in order to survive this impending catastrophe, powerful strength was a must. Angelina felt that it was necessary to promote Holy Light in Lion Duchy. This was naturally in line with Liu's goal. Wasn't the purpose of tricking Angelina into becoming a priest of Holy Light so that she could spread Holy Light? For the rest of the time, Liu and Langley stayed in the Wizard Tower to study Holy Light. Angelina returned to the palace and began her missionary activities. The Golden Lion Knights were Angelina's first choice. The royal knights that guarded Lion City were the strongest force in the hands of the Lion royal family. Improving the strength of the Golden Lion Knights was in line with the needs of Lion Duchy. The missionary activities were very successful. In just a week, hundreds of paladins had been born in the Golden Lion Knights. It seemed that the day when the Golden Lion Knights became paladins was just around the corner. The glory of the Golden Lion seemed to be right in front of them. However, Angelina's missionary activities angered another force: the church. There were also churches of various gods in Lion Duchy. In the temple area of Lion City, there were more than 10 shrines of gods. Preposterous! The Church of Holy Light is too greedy. They actually turned Angelina into a cleric? Damn it! If this goes on, how are we going to preach? From now on, Lion Duchy can only be the territory of the Church of Holy Light. We can't just sit and wait. We must fight back. We must expel the Church of Holy Light. The veteran churches quickly reached a consensus that they must fight back and drive the Church of Holy Light out. Otherwise, the missionary resources of Lion Duchy would be snatched away by the Church of Holy Light. With the churches working together, Angelina was in trouble. Lion Duchy is the kingdom of the Golden Lion. Our ancestors were great warriors. Princess Angelina actually wants to turn the Golden Lion Knights into clerics. This is not in line with tradition. Where is the glory of the Golden Lion? Princess Angelina's actions are shaking the foundation of the country and betraying the glory of our ancestors. Your Majesty, please investigate. In an instant, countless nobles and ministers of Lion Duchy impeached Angelina. Liu's activities of spreading the holy light had just begun, and he was already under great pressure. The schedule for the meetings these 2 days was too tight, and he couldn't cope at all. I can only update twice today. Chapter 1409. Sir Victor, I'm in trouble. Angelina, who was being bombarded by the nobles, could only turn to Liu, the sacred light mentor, for help. Oh? What kind of trouble have you encountered? Liu naturally knew that Angelina's path of preaching would definitely encounter obstacles, but he pretended not to know. When I was spreading the path of the holy light, I was resisted by some conservative forces. The church and the nobles are very resistant to the path of the holy light. Angelina looked helpless. I'm doing this for the prosperity of the country. Why are they treating me like this? The path of justice is never smooth sailing. They resist the holy light because they don't understand it yet. Take it slow. Liu smiled and comforted her. Why resist? Wasn't it for the sake of benefits? The rise of a new force would definitely break the old balance of interest. It was no surprise that the nobles resisted the holy light. As for the church and the Church of the Holy Light, how could they still warmly welcome it? Take it slow? Angelina nodded. I was indeed too hasty. As the Princess of Lion, Angelina didn't lack political wisdom. This kind of thing that would shake the interests of others could only be done slowly. After readjusting her working method, Angelina returned to the palace and slowed down the pace of the church's development. She planned to boil the frog in warm water and slowly develop it. Sir Victor, I still have some doubts about the power of the holy light. I'd like to ask for your advice. As soon as Angelina left, the legendary Master Langley immediately came over. Sir Victor, what do you think my holy light spell is still missing? Langley was indeed a legendary master. In a few days, he had figured out a way to use the power of the holy light. A faint ray of holy light flashed in Langley's hand. Although it wasn't a complete spell, at least it proved that Langley really used the scientific method to use the holy light. It's missing resonance. Liu naturally knew about Langley's holy light. He used magic to gather a trace of the power of the holy light, but it lacked resonance with the holy light and couldn't become a complete holy light spell. Resonance, Langley sighed helplessly. Naturally, he knew that resonance was missing. However, rational mages would never be able to conform to the spirit of sacrifice of the holy light. They would never be able to resonate with it. From a mage's point of view, belief should also be a manifestation of mental strength, right? Perhaps you can find a way from this direction? With a smile on his face, Liu dug another hole. The manifestation of spiritual power? So, beliefs can also be simulated? Langley's eyes lit up. That's right. My beliefs don't conform to the standards of the holy light, but I can imitate, I can pretend, I can use hypnotism to hypnotize myself into beliefs that conform to the path of the holy light. Wasn't mind magic also a type of magic? It seemed that this method would really work. Langley was suddenly enlightened, as if he had discovered the truth. Your Excellency Victor, thank you for your guidance. I'll continue my research. Langley turned around and ran out of the room, beginning to study the holy light again. When the false is taken for the real is also false. If you hypnotize yourself into believing in the path of the holy light, as time passes, even the false will become true. Master Langley, may the holy light deceive you. Langley wanted to use mind magic to deceive the holy light, But he didn't know that Big Boss Lee had always been the master of deception. Once he fell into a pit, it wasn't so easy to jump out. After settling Langley, Angelina is also working hard to spread the Church of Holy Light in Lion Duchy. I can consider changing places. Liu didn't expect the Church of Holy Light to sweep the world and dominate the world. At least, it wasn't the time yet. Your Excellency Victor. Your Excellency Victor. At this moment, an apprentice in the wizard tower ran over in a panic. Your Excellency Victor, outside there are a lot of people outside. They are all bishops and pastors of various churches. They want to see you by name. Bishops and pastors of various churches. Liu frowned. They're going to come knocking on my door. Originally, Liu had already asked Angelina to slow down the pace of development so that others wouldn't feel that the wolf is coming. He didn't expect these churches to be so persistent and actually come looking for Liu. I didn't intend to torture you, but now that you've come knocking on my door, don't blame me for tricking you to death. Liu sneered in his heart, got up and walked out of the room. He followed the apprentice all the way out of the wizard tower. There are a lot of people here. Walking out of the wizard tower, Liu saw hundreds of bishops and pastors from various churches standing in the square outside the tower. There were no paladins, only pastors. It seemed that these churches didn't intend to use force directly and didn't send out powerful fighters like paladins. Everyone, I'm Victor. May I know why you've come to see me? Liu knew that these people were here to cause trouble, but he pretended not to know and still greeted them with a smile. You're Victor? A bishop from the Church of Justice stepped forward and glanced at Liu, saying, Sir Victor, we've long heard of the miracle of the Holy Light. We acknowledge the status of the Church of Holy Light and also acknowledge that the Church of Holy Light has the qualifications to spread their faith, but your actions have destroyed the consensus between us. Yes. We welcome the birth of a new church and also welcome new churches to preach in various countries. However, the Church of Holy Light's actions are too much. Yes. A new church is born, but it doesn't abide by the rules at all. This can easily provoke conflicts between the gods and even lead to war. Sir Victor, as a new church, the Church of Holy Light must abide by the rules. The bishops of the Church of the Goddess of Commerce, the Church of the Lord of Dawn, the Church of the God of War, etc., all expressed their stance and condemned the Church of Holy Light. Sir Victor, according to the consensus of all the churches, from now on, the Church of Holy Light's missionary scale in Lion Duchy cannot exceed 1,000 believers every year. The bishop of the Church of Justice announced a rule. It was as if this was an ultimatum. However, Big Boss Lee was never someone who abided by rules. I think you've got something wrong. Liu looked at the bishops and pastors of these churches indifferently and shook his head with a smile. The Holy Light is not a god. It doesn't need faith. What you think of as the Church of Holy Light, in reality, we don't have a church at all and don't need a church. The Holy Light doesn't need faith or believers. Huh! When the bishops and pastors heard Liu's words, they were instantly dumbfounded and looked at each other in dismay. What was this situation? They came knocking on their door aggressively, but they seemed to have gotten the main point wrong? Liu's words seemed to be admitting defeat, but the pit had already been dug. Chapter 14:10. The Holy Light isn't a god? It doesn't need faith? The Holy Light isn't a god? How? How is this possible? A miracle has descended upon Amber City, and the Holy Light isn't a god? Isn't this too unbelievable? The bishops and pastors of the various churches didn't doubt Liu's words at all. Gods were only supreme beings. No pastors or clergy dared to deny their own faith. As a Holy Light emissary, Liu had said that the Holy Light isn't a god, and yet he hadn't been punished by the Holy Light until now. The Holy Light isn't a god. The Holy Light doesn't need faith. In this case, there's no such thing as fighting for faith resources at all? We came aggressively looking for trouble, and our fists hit nothing but air? Dear bishops and pastors, the holy light isn't a god. The holy light doesn't need faith, and it has no conflict of interest with any church. Liu opened his arms, and his body shone with holy light. A holy halo lit up above his head, and a pair of glorious wings spread out behind him. Holy and glorious, it was as if a god had descended upon the mortal world. The holy light is the original law of heaven and earth. Just like magic that permeates the entire world, it isn't a god, but an objective force that exists between heaven and earth. As long as it conforms to the law of the holy light, as long as they adhere to the path of the holy light, anyone can use the power of the holy light. The holy light has no conflict with any other force that doesn't belong to chaos or evil. In the holy light, Liu had officially dug a huge hole. Is that so? All the bishops and pastors present were completely stunned. The holy light isn't a god. The holy light is just a force that exists objectively in the entire world, similar to magic. In this case, even the pastors of the gods can obtain the power of the holy light and use the power of the holy light? These bishops and pastors had heard of the path of the holy light. The virtues and beliefs of the holy light didn't conflict with what the pastors had always done. One had to know that the churches that could openly spread their faith in the human countries were not evil gods or evil God. Most of them were orderly and kind, or at least neutral. The law of the holy light had no conflict with their lineup. This seems to be good news? The power of a priest came from the gods. All the spells of the priests were divine spells bestowed by the gods. A god would have countless believers and countless priests, and the power of these priests all came from the same god. Although the gods were said to be omnipotent, the divine power of each god was not limitless. Therefore, no god had the ability to satisfy the desire of all priests to level up. Now, Holy Light Emissary, Victor had given the pastors a new direction. Holy light. Even the priests of the gods could use the power of the holy light, and there was no need for faith. There were no conflicts between them and their own gods. Was there any power more perfect than this? After all, the gods were struggling to maintain their crumbling divine kingdoms, and the power they bestowed upon their priests was far from what it used to be. It was also very difficult for the prayers of the priests to be answered by the gods. Many priests had been stuck at that level for a very long time. Protecting the church and spreading the glory of the gods required sufficient power. The holy light fits our requirements perfectly. This was simply a timely reign. Your Highness Victor, please forgive our offense. Your Highness Victor, please forgive us. Please forgive us. The various churches that had come aggressively apologized with ashamed faces, and then hurriedly returned to their respective temples. Whether the power of the holy light was feasible and worth promoting, they had to ask their own gods for instructions. Therefore, the bishops and priests of these churches returned to their temples and immediately organized a prayer to ask their gods if the power of the holy light was feasible. The holy light is not a god? For the natural-born gods, they had witnessed the birth of the holy light with their own eyes. Although they had witnessed the birth of the holy light with their own eyes, the gods did not investigate the nature of the holy light due to the law of coexistence between gods. After all, the nature of a god's power was their own absolute secret. Whoever dared to pry into it was tantamount to declaring war. Their divine kingdoms were on the verge of collapse, and the gods did not dare to rashly start a war, so they did not delve into the nature of the holy light. At this moment, after hearing the report from their churches, the holy light emissary clearly told them that the holy light was not a god, but a law of order, the origin of heaven and earth. With this, the gods naturally had to pry into the nature of the holy light. With one look, it was clear at a glance. The holy light was indeed a law of origin. No wonder that mortal, the holy light emissary, could also resonate with the origin. So that was how it was. This was really great. The holy light is not a god. The holy light is only a law of the origin of order. The holy light can be used. Soon, the various churches received answers from their own gods. The gods had confirmed the nature of the holy light. The holy light was a kind of origin power. This is great. All the clergymen cheered. This kind of power that was naturally suitable for clergymen to use, and it did not require any divine power from their own gods to allow the clergymen to continuously level up. It was really too suitable. The clergymen cheered, and so did the gods. The gods were struggling to maintain their crumbling divine kingdoms. At this time, their divine power was greatly depleted, and they could not spare any more to feed the clergymen of their churches. In such a difficult time, having a power that did not require any divine power to strengthen the clergymen, and this power had nothing to do with any gods and was only a law of the origin of heaven and earth, was simply like rain after a long drought. It solved their urgent situation. Spread it. It had to be spread. The clergymen could use the power of the holy light without needing to use any divine power. For the gods, this was equivalent to not needing to invest in anything. They did not even need to pay their salaries anymore. The amount of divine power they could obtain would increase exponentially. In this way, the power of the holy light would become the standard equipment for all the churches. This time, Liu was playing too big of a game. He had fooled all the gods. Although this is a little too big, when I use the holy light to ascend to godhood, the gods will definitely be so angry that they'll vomit blood. The god of holy light will definitely be hated by everyone. But Liu looked up at the sky and saw the god's throne hanging high up in the sky. He smiled faintly. In any case, you won't be able to hold on much longer and can only fall to the mortal world. Even if you want to fight, I won't even need to use my main body's power to fight you. The only downside was that the future God of Holy Light would probably have the titles of God of Conspiracy and God of Fraud behind him. History was always written by the victors. There was no need to care too much about such details. Chapter 14:11. Liu originally did not intend to play such a big game and scam them so ruthlessly. It's just that he was used to scamming people from all over the universe. Seeing the churches of the gods coming together to collectively suppress the Church of Holy Light with such a good posture, Li really could not help but scam them. Let's cooperate and win. The goddess of magic's magic net can also become a public power. My power of holy light becoming a public utility is good for everyone. Liu touched his chin and came up with another idea. Using the standard version of the power of holy light used by the churches of the gods is naturally a service for a fee. How will the fee be set? I am kind-hearted, so I won't charge roaming fees. I'll only charge a basic usage fee. Let's settle it with divine power. Arlida was now starting to think about how to continue scamming people in the future. What a lunatic! The effect is unexpectedly good. The churches of the gods had developed in the entire world for countless years. Liu grafted the power of holy light onto the churches of the gods, and the effect was countless times stronger than his own dissemination of holy light. Scamming people really saves effort. I don't even have to preach myself. Next, I'll continue to scam those legendary masters. The churches of the gods were helping Liu with voluntary labor and spreading the path of holy light, which saved Liu a lot of trouble. However, those legendary masters still needed Liu to scam them himself. Those who could become legends were not willing to be contaminated with the power of the god. Although each church had legendary masters, in essence, they could only be regarded as having the power of the legendary realm, but they were not legends themselves. The power of a legendary priest was essentially the power of the gods, not their own power. Real legendary masters did not like to be associated with gods. To fool the legendary masters, I still need Master Langley to produce research results as soon as possible. Liu turned and walked into the Mage Tower, glancing at Master Langley's spell laboratory with a face full of anticipation. In addition to the churches of the gods making it clear that holy light was not the gods, but only the origin laws of heaven and earth, a legendary master interpreted holy light from an academic point of view, thus mastering the power of holy light. This made many legendary masters feel more at ease about the power of holy light. Guides are needed everywhere. When Master Langley has figured out how to use the power of holy light, he will naturally have an academic exchange with his peers. It was that easy to trick people. Master Langley's successful example would make more people interested in the power of holy light and devote themselves to the research of holy light. God sect. Conviction faction. The academic faction. The path of holy light would develop in many different ways. Hundreds of flowers would bloom, and hundreds of schools of thought would contend with one another. It would definitely become more prosperous with each passing day. Ha 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 ha. Sir Victor, I did it. I did it. Master Langley did not disappoint Liu. When Liu returned to the Mage Tower, a bright holy light rushed out of Master Langley's spell laboratory. Holy light. Master Langley ran out of the spell laboratory excitedly, rushed in front of Liu, and waved his hand to sprinkle a holy light. It really is the holy light technique. Liu looked at the holy light spell cast by Master Langley, his face full of praise. Master is indeed a legendary mage, to understand the essence of holy light so quickly. Yes, yes, the essence of holy light. Holy light is not God. Holy light is not faith. Holy light is only the law of heaven and earth. Just like magic power, holy light is an objective existence of the origin of heaven and earth. Master Langley's academic research had produced results. I have found a way to use the power of holy light, Sir Victor. I will soon be able to decipher all the holy light spells you mentioned, including the power of paladins who use the power of holy light to strengthen their bodies. Langley, who had entered the state of academic research, was so excited that he danced with joy. The power of paladins. The corner of Liu's mouth twitched slightly. Well, the legendary mage Langley seemed to be interested in strengthening the body and the close combat paladin profession. Could it be that every mage had a dream of becoming a berserker in their hearts? Gandalf was the romance of mages. Holding a staff in one hand and a long sword in the other, this close combat mage was very powerful. Master Langley, your research has deciphered the essence of holy light and created a glorious future. I think. Liu looked up at Master Langley with a face full of sincerity. I think more people should witness your success and witness your glory. Yes, yes. The results of my research are a great achievement. This achievement should be witnessed by more people. Even legendary wizards were no exception when it came to showing off, deciphering the holy light and creating a great path. This great achievement should be cheered by more people. More people should cheer my name. My name will definitely be recorded in history. The glowing Master Langley immediately sent out invitations to all his peers he knew. He invited them to witness this great achievement together. A legendary mage's network was naturally very wide. Dragons did not swim with water snakes. Most of the legendary mage's social circle were legendary professions. After these people came and witnessed Master Langley's great achievement with their own eyes, they would definitely be interested in holy light. Well, I still need to add fuel to the fire. Liu immediately came up with many ideas. For example, let Master Langley carry a two-handed heavy sword and fight a legendary warrior to a draw? A consecration spell to burn the legendary thief out of stealth? Let Master Langley show off and fiercely intimidate those bumpkins, so that they would be shocked and yearn for the power of holy light. Then, they would all need holy light. When all the thieves in this world use holy light to play stealth, then I will succeed. Well, this request was too much. At most, He could only let the thief go into stealth first and then release a backstab of holy light flash. Master Langley's academic exchange would definitely call all the legendary masters of the southern countries over, and even masters from other regions would come. In this way, Liu would also save himself the trouble of looking for masters everywhere. As long as he used a great deception, the problem would be completely solved. After fooling all the masters in one go, then there will be half a year for them to study the power of holy light. At that time, a group of holy light professionals will use Invincible to kill the ancient red dragon. Just think of that scene. The ancient red dragon will cry, right? A glorious victory. A great expedition. A great expedition that would go down in history. Holy light would shine on the entire earth. Great Deception Li's plan had been completely achieved. After killing the ancient red dragon, the gods will also descend into this world one after another. The devils of hell and the demons of the abyss will also not be able to sit still. When the gods fell into the mortal world, this would be a great reshuffle. The high and mighty gods could not do anything to others. After falling into the mortal world, things like seizing the divinity would become a possibility. The demons and devils would definitely take advantage of the gods' low power to overthrow the gods' rule. When that happened, it would be a catastrophe. May the holy light deceive you. Great Deceptionly expressed that it was just right to capture a few gods, demons, and devils to do scientific research. Chapter 14:12. A week later, Master Langley's academic results exhibition officially began. Legendary powerhouses from the southern countries arrived at Master Langley's Tower of Truth through the teleportation portal. The huge reception hall of the Mage Tower was officially transformed into an academic report hall. The hall was decorated with lanterns and streamers, looking brand new. A huge podium was placed at the top, and seats were arranged below. At this moment, Master Langley's direct disciple, Angelina, acted as a receptionist, leading the legendary powerhouses to the hall to take their seats. A group of palace maids selected by Lying Duchy came and went in the hall, pouring tea and water for the various legendary powerhouses and delivering Master Langley's academic report manuscripts. The power of the holy light, a kind of origin power similar to magic. Langley's path of holy light? How did a melee mage become one? The group of legendary powerhouses at the meeting looked at each other when they saw the stack of manuscripts delivered by the maids. What was wrong with Langley? Holy light? Wasn't that the thing that caused a miracle some time ago? Was Langley planning to develop into a priest? And what the hell was a melee mage? Was Langley's brain damaged from practicing magic, and he was planning to change to a berserker's job? This was really good news. For Langley's academic report conference, many legendary powerhouses came with the intention of giving Langley face and just having fun. These legendary powerhouses were actually not very interested in the so-called holy light. They hadn't even reached the peak of their own legendary path, and they hadn't even fully grasped their own cultivation. Who had the time to learn about holy light? Walking to the top of every path of cultivation, one could achieve the highest level of achievement. Giving up halfway and changing one's path halfway was not desirable for a legendary powerhouse. Teacher, Sir Victor, the guests have arrived at the venue. After settling the powerhouses, Angelina reported to Langley and Liu. They're here already? Very good. Master Langley straightened his brand-new legendary robe, stroked his neatly combed beard, and looked at Angelina with a smile. Angelina, how many people are here? Teacher, a total of 34 lords have arrived. Angelina's face lit up. Teacher, your achievements have attracted the attention of the world. Your research results will definitely go down in history. Ha 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 ha. Langley laughed loudly, his face glowing. Master Langley, it's time for you to take the stage. Go. Let those who were still confused feel the greatness of the holy light. Show them the results of your research, let them scream, let them cheer. Li Yu instigated ferociously. Langley was very interested in this kind of fame and glory. Li Yu naturally wanted to give him a chance to show off. Your Excellency Victor, please join me on the stage. Please bear witness to my glory. Master Langley raised his white ivory staff and invited Li Yu to accompany him. It would be my honor. In order to catch all these legendary powerhouses in one fell swoop, Li Yu naturally had to go down personally to achieve the best effect. Lords, now, let's invite the researcher of Holy Light, Master Langley, and the emissary of Holy Light, His Excellency Victor, to the stage. Angelina, who acted as the host, announced loudly with excitement. Then, the various legendary powerhouses below were still eating melon seeds and chatting. No one paid attention to the trick of the protagonist taking the stage. Damn bastards! How dare you look down on my research results? Seeing this, Master Langley was furious. He snorted heavily, walked into the hall, and stepped onto the podium. Li Yu did not react to this, and still had a smile on his face. 34 legendary powerhouses, both melee and sorcerers. Following Langley all the way to the high platform, Li Yu turned his head and glanced at the venue. Seeing the legendary powerhouses sitting below, he nodded secretly. 34 legendary powerhouses, warriors, knights, sacred sword masters, monks, bandits, and most of them were sorcerers. Of the 34 people, 18 were sorcerers, accounting for more than half. Langley is a legendary sorcerer, and most of his friends are sorcerers. This can't be helped. However, there are also more than a dozen melee professions, which is more than enough. These 34 legendary powerhouses, plus those that Li Yu had contacted before, could form a powerful dungeon team of 40 people. It was more than enough to form a team to kill the ancient red dragon once. Everyone, I am Langley, a legendary wizard of the Tower of Truth. Welcome to this academic exchange on the power of Holy Light. Langley stood on the podium, suppressed the unhappiness in his heart, glanced down, and began his academic report. As everyone knows, magic power is the origin of our world. All of us, whether we are sorcerers or not, our cultivation is inseparable from magic power. In that case, is magic power the only source of power? By chance, I met His Excellency Victor, and came into contact with the power of the Holy Light. After my research, I found out that the Holy Light is also a kind of origin of power. Just like magic power, anyone, any profession, can use the power of the Holy Light through a certain way. Master Langley stood on the high platform and entered the state, excitedly announcing his research results of the Holy Light to everyone. However, no one listened to his academic report at all. Bastard! Langley was so angry that he stomped his feet. You bastards, are you here to eat melon seeds? Actions are more convincing than words, don't you think? Master Langley. Li Yu naturally knew that these legendary powerhouses had already given Langley a lot of face by coming over. Not many people would take Langley's academic research seriously. Besides, wasn't it normal to eat melon seeds and doze off during a meeting? You're right. Actions are more convincing than words. Langley took a deep breath and nodded heavily. Then, he raised the ivory staff in his hand high, and a bright light bloomed on the staff. Boom! Holy and resplendent light surged up with a loud bang, sweeping out like a raging tide, enveloping the entire academic hall. The legendary powerhouses who were absent-minded suddenly felt this sacred and vast power. They were shocked and suddenly raised their heads. This power is so strong. Is this the power of the Holy Light? It seems to be the power of the Order faction? It's so strong? Langley's so-called research results are not junk like the masculine wind ring and the pink book. Is it really a powerful force? At this moment, the onlookers who were eating melon seeds also became serious about Langley's academic report. Chapter 14:13. Sure enough, actions are more convincing than words. After releasing the power of the holy light, Langley found that the legendary masters who were chatting while munching on melon seeds were all serious. This made Langley feel much better. You short-sighted people, I'll broaden your horizons and let you feel the greatness of the holy light. Let's see if you still dare to look down on me. The bright radiance shone even more fiercely. In this radiance that shrouded the entire hall, a vast and majestic power surged like a raging tide. Damn it! Langley, are you going to blow up your own wizard tower? Feeling the enormous power condensing above their heads, the faces of the legendary masters in the hall changed drastically, their faces full of vigilance. Some of the more cautious mages even activated defensive spells. This was not because they suspected Langley of harming them, but the magic accidents of wizards were simply endless. In the so-called academic report, accidents occurred while demonstrating new results, blowing up all the participants in the meeting. This kind of thing happened more than once or twice. Ha 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 ha. Don't worry. The power of the holy light is much safer than you think. Langley laughed and waved the magic staff in his hand, retracting the radiance that shrouded the hall. Everyone, this is the power of the holy light. How is it? Is this power strong? Ha ha. This is the result of my research, this is my great discovery. It is indeed a very powerful power. The majestic power that shrouded the hall just now was deeply felt by everyone present, and they all acknowledged the powerful power of the holy light. But what does this have to do with us? A burly man who was more than 2 meters tall and had bulging muscles as if he was cast in iron picked up his glass and took a sip. He exhaled a mouthful of alcohol and stood up. Langley, we melee professionals are not like you mages. We fight with our muscles and fists. What does your holy light have to do with us? Ha 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 ha. That's right. That's right. A man wearing heavy armor next to him laughed and nodded. Although we knights not only rely on our muscles and fists, we also use swords. But that barbarian Canes is right, we can't use the holy light. Compared to you skinny bamboos who only know how to cast spells, us men rely on our strong bodies. We don't need the holy light. The other brawny man also laughed loudly in agreement. You bunch of musclemen, intelligence is your greatest strength. Brainless idiots, you're not even qualified to learn spells. You muscleheads, how dare you look down on mages? In the venue, the melee professionals and mages began to curse at each other. The flames of war swirled in the air, smears splattered in all directions, and it was a complete mess. Bastard! This is my academic report. This is not a place for you to curse. Master Langley stretched out his hand to touch his forehead, so depressed that he vomited blood. This was not the first time something like this had happened. In the past gatherings, the conflict between the muscular man and the skinny bamboo pole was simply endless. Master Langley, isn't it simple to solve this problem? Liu looked at the legendary powerhouses below with a smile on his face. He then turned to Master Langley and smiled. Didn't you come up with a way to strengthen the body with holy light? Who said that mages couldn't fight at close range? Use your iron fist of justice to teach them a lesson. Yes, yes. Fist of holy light. Iron fist of justice. Master Langley's eyes lit up, and the ivory staff in his hand slammed down heavily. He roared, "Shut up! All of you, shut up for me!" Langley's roar interrupted the cursing of the melee professionals and mages. Everyone turned their heads to look at Langley with a fierce look on their faces. It seemed that they intended to join forces and curse at Langley. This kind of thing had happened before. Once Langley did not have a reasonable explanation, he would face the crazy spitting of everyone. It was even more terrifying than the dragon's breath. You bunch of muscleheads, are you really showing off your strong bodies? Master Langley threw away the ivory staff he used to show off, tore off his robe, and jumped off the podium wearing only a short coat. Come on. Muscle heads. Aren't you showing off your strong bodies? Then I'll let you broaden your horizons and see who's stronger. Langley clenched his fists, raised his arms, and roared loudly. What's going on? Seeing Master Langley's crazy actions, all the legendary masters present were dumbfounded. Are you King kidding me? You're an old man, a skinny bamboo pole, and you want to compete with a legendary warrior to see who's stronger? Langley, how much wine have you drunk? You, come here. Under the stunned gazes of everyone, Langley pointed at the 2-meter-tall muscular man. Iron Cliff Lord Keynes, come here, let's compete in strength. You are serious? The muscular Iron Cliff Lord rubbed his bald head and looked around. Did you see that? I'm not bullying him. He came to me himself. What are you dawdling for? Come here, I'll beat you to the ground. Master Langley seemed to be possessed by the god of war as he challenged the leader of the Muscleheads, the Iron Cliff Lord. This kind of competition is really not challenging at all. The Iron Cliff Lord shook his head helplessly, stepped forward, and extended his arm to Master Langley. Langley, if you sprain your back, don't blame me. Just take care of yourself. Don't let me sprain your arm. Langley snorted and extended his skinny arm to block the Iron Cliff Lord's arm that was as thick as a bucket. One arm was as thin as a bean sprout, the other was muscular as if cast from steel. The two were not in the same order of magnitude. Was there a need for this kind of competition to continue? The legendary masters watching the battle shook their heads speechlessly. The muscleheads were laughing. The mages turned their heads away, not wanting to see the cruel reality. Come, I'll show you the results of my research, Master Langley roared. Who said that mages don't have strong bodies? The power of the holy light makes us mages not only strong in wisdom, but also in body. You're so confident. The Iron Cliff Lord shook his head. Master Langley, we've heard about the matter of magic strengthening the physique. However, no matter how much it's strengthened, a mage's body can never be compared to a warrior's. I'll let you see the truth. The Iron Cliff Lord took a deep breath, and the muscles on his arms that seemed to be cast from steel pulsated. A huge force surged out like a raging tide. In everyone's opinion, as long as the Iron Cliff Lord used a little bit of strength, Master Langley's skinny arms and legs would be defeated in an instant. However, under the Iron Cliff Lord's powerful strength, Master Langley's thin and skinny arms did not budge at all. This is impossible, the Iron Cliff Lord shouted in shock. How is this possible? The group of legendary powerhouses who were watching the battle suddenly stood up and looked at Langley in shock. The holy light could make a mage have a body comparable to a warrior's? This was going to cause chaos. Chapter 14:14. Do you see it? This is the power of the holy light. Master Langley laughed loudly, and a powerful force burst out from his thin arms. He was not at a disadvantage in the contest with the Lord of Iron Cliff. Damn it! How can there be such a thing? The power of the holy light. With this thing, how can we warriors survive? Mages could arm wrestle with warriors, and their bodies were no worse than warriors. In the future, would warriors still have a way to survive? Mages were already very scary. Now, even the last shortcoming of mages had been made up for by the power of the holy light. How could others survive? Warriors, knights, monks, and sword masters were all very depressed, but the thieves were already crying. **T. Mages could compete with warriors in strength. How can we sneak or backstab? We finally rushed to the front of the mages, and in the end we were knocked unconscious by the mage's fist? There was no way the thief could survive. Master Langley, please teach us the power of the holy light. The mages present had gone crazy. How many years had it been? How many years had they been laughed at by the Musselmen? Although mages had powerful strength and spells that could destroy cities and countries, but, the Musselmen said, a man who needs spells to settle the harem, is he still a man? This was the eternal pain in the mages' hearts. Gigantification spell, bull's strength, bear's physique, masculine wind ring, and pink book, the mages' lives were like crabs. But they would be laughed at by the musclemen. Now, Master Langley's academic research allowed the mages to see the hope that they could shine without the use of magic assistance. They had to learn the power of the holy light. They had to learn the power of the holy light. Bah! There are no good men. There were not only men present, but also female mages, female swordmasters, and female assassins. Seeing the you-know-what-I-mean smiles on the faces of the male wizards, these female legends were helpless. What the hell? My holy light is actually used on this? Liu stood on the stage and saw Master Langley surrounded by a group of male wizards like stars surrounding the moon. The expression on his face was very interesting. Everyone, please allow me to make a grand introduction. Master Langley broke away from the crowd and walked to Liu's side, introducing Liu to the crowd. Everyone, this is the emissary of the holy light, the embodiment of light and justice, a saint walking on earth. Your Excellency Victor Serone Antares. My research is only an insignificant part of the power of holy light. Sir Victor is the true teacher of holy light. Other than mages, other professions can also use the power of holy light. Langley's academic conference was a great success. However, his research was only meaningful for mages to use the holy light. As for how other professions used holy light, he had no way to answer. Thus, Master Langley, who was surrounded by everyone, had no choice but to push Liu out. Your Excellency Victor, we have long heard of your great name. Sir Victor, please teach us the power of the holy light. Sir Victor, a group of legendary experts instantly rushed up and surrounded Liu. With the holy light, mages could compete with warriors in terms of strength. If we don't work hard, how can we survive in the future? In order not to fall behind and be eliminated by the tide of the times, the group of melee professions could only seek help from Liu, the emissary of holy light. This was completely in line with Liu's plan. Everyone, I have invited everyone here today for one reason, to witness Master Langley's academic research, and two, to let everyone feel the power of the holy light. Of course, Liu would not let go of any of these legendary experts who had delivered themselves to his door to seek a pit. The holy light is not a god. The holy light does not need faith. The holy light is only the original power of heaven and earth. As long as it conforms to the law of the holy light, anyone can use the power of the holy light. Liu revealed the image of the emissary of holy light. A holy halo shone above his head, and a pair of glorious wings stretched out behind his back. Holy, glorious, and vast power shone in the hall. The law of the holy light is the 8 great virtues of the holy light. Modesty, honesty, compassion, justice, valor, honor, protection, sacrifice. This is the law of the holy light. As long as your faith conforms to the law of the holy light, you can get the response of the holy light, and you can use the power of the holy light. Liu opened his arms, and the holy light swept out like a wave. Rays of holy light fell in front of everyone. This is holy light enlightenment. Feel the holy light. Use your faith to communicate with the holy light. As long as your faith conforms to the path of the holy light, you can use the power of the holy light. Faith. The legendary experts present looked at the holy light falling in front of them, took a deep breath, slowly closed their eyes, and used their faith to communicate with the holy light in front of them. Legendary experts were the top figures in charge of a region. Their existence was a kind of protection, maintaining order in one area and safeguarding stability in another. This was also to protect their own territory. Therefore, for the 8 great virtues of the holy light, the 2 virtues of protection and valor were easier to resonate with legendary experts. As for the other excessively noble sentiments, most legendary experts were unable to do so. Every legendary expert's path of growth was accompanied by blood and fire. Those who were too noble would not have been able to live until now. Therefore, they could only start from the neutral principles of protection and valor. Killing people was also to protect. This was understandable. Valor was even easier to explain. Killing all the way and not retreating, wasn't that valor? Comprehending the holy light from the perspective of protection and valor, then the easiest to obtain would be the power of guardian knight, disciplinary knight, and ascetic priest! These holy light professions were what Liu needed right now. When forming a party to fight the ancient red dragon, guardian knights were indispensable, disciplinary knights would be the damage output, and ascetic priests would support and heal. Of course, this was only the holy light professions. It must be known that these legendary experts were originally legendary professionals, and their abilities would not be weakened at all. Boom! 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 A moment later, under the enlightenment of the holy light, legendary experts successively comprehended the power of the holy light and became holy light professions. Rays of brilliant light rushed up, and the mighty power swept out, illuminating the entire Tower of Truth with a holy brilliance, as if a miracle had descended. Legendary warriors and legendary knights obtained the holy light the fastest. A warrior's valor was deeply ingrained in their bones, and a warrior without valor could not become a legend. Knights had always been a protection-type profession, and they had a deep understanding of protection, so it was easy for them to resonate with the holy light. Legendary warriors became disciplinary knights, and most legendary knights became guardian knights. But the sword saints, monks, and thieves that appeared later made Liu, a holy light teacher, unable to understand them. How should sword saints, monks, and thieves who could use the power of the holy light be classified? Liu felt that this was very difficult. Sword saints could become disciplinary knights with 2 weapons, monks could become unarmed holy knights, but thieves, activating a halo and using the holy light to perform stealth and backstab, what was this? Stealthy disciplinary knights? Push the book, dream of rebirth blossoms, go and beat up that bastard author until his face blossoms with flowers. That guy is very bad, he doesn't pay for his treasured sword. Chapter 14-15. A month had passed. During this month, all the legendary powerhouses had comprehended the holy light and obtained the power of the holy light. Liu also took this opportunity to bring up the matter of forming a team to fight the ancient red dragon. The legendary powerhouses who had obtained the power of the holy light had their strength skyrocketed, especially their life-saving skills. Invincible Hearthstone, such a core skill, Liu naturally released it quickly. Then there was the undying cockroach with 3 lives. If one was hit, the invincible and holy light would recover. If another was hit, the holy healing would instantly recover. This made everyone have 3 lives in their hand. With such a trump card, the undying cockroach lived up to its name. Even if they were to challenge the ancient red dragon, everyone had a lot of confidence. Even if they could not win, at least they could use the invincible Hearthstone. The ancient red dragon is about to awaken, we must defeat it before it completely awakens. Otherwise, the entire southern countries will become a sea of fire. Liu gathered everyone in the meeting room of the Mage Tower to discuss how to deal with the threat of the ancient red dragon. In addition to the legendary powerhouses, Storm Lord Landis also brought along a 2-meter-tall female Amazon warrior. That was Landis' mother, the Amazon chief. The Northern Witch Gloria had also brought along the legendary witch of the Northern Kingdom, the Northern Witch Queen. Count Antares, who had been promoted to a legendary paladin, was also invited to support his son Victor. Even with such a strong and powerful legendary party, they still had to treat the ancient red dragon seriously. Sir Victor, this is all the information we have collected about the ancient red dragon. Master Langley handed a thick file to Liu. The ancient red dragon is a powerful existence comparable to the gods. We must be fully prepared. Indeed. Li Yu took the file and nodded. During this time, I will study the information of the ancient red dragon seriously and then discuss a suitable strategy. There are still a few months before the ancient red dragon awakens. Everyone, get familiar with the power of the holy light. After 3 months, we will officially depart. Okay. No problem. Everyone nodded and left the meeting room to study the newly obtained power of the holy light. With a group of legendary experts researching and discussing together, the speed of mastering the holy light would definitely be faster. Victor, I'm so weak. After everyone left, Gloria stayed behind and looked at Li Yu helplessly. Although I've also comprehended the holy light, I'm not a legend yet. To participate in the ancient Crimson Dragon War, legendary was the minimum requirement. Without becoming a legend, there was no way to break through the ancient red dragon's defense. Participating in the battle would be meaningless. Gloria didn't want to miss this battle of justice that was bound to become an epic legend. Li Yu looked up at Gloria with a smile. If you don't want to advance to legendary as a witch, I can help you advance to legendary with the power of holy light. The holy light was Li Yu's own thing, and it was only a matter of minutes for him to use the holy light to promote Gloria to legend. If it was a witch, Li Yu wouldn't be able to do anything. Ascending to legendary with the power of holy light? This is great. That's great. Gloria had already obtained the priest template, so she didn't care whether she used the witch template to advance to legendary or the priest template to advance to legendary. Hearing Li Yu say that he could help her advance to legendary, Gloria didn't hesitate at all and agreed without hesitation. Then, among the 8 virtues of the holy light, which one do you feel the most? Even if he was cheating, he couldn't be too obvious. He had to find a reason. Among the virtues of the holy light, I feel the most is justice. The northern witches are neutral and impartial. Our principles in life are justice and equality. Gloria frankly spoke about the source of her holy light power. Her holy light came from justice. But the future leader of the witches, the heir to the Witch King. The quality of justice is one of the greatest qualities of a leader. Li Yu nodded in admiration, and then his whole body shone with holy light, revealing the holy light emissary form. A holy halo shone above his head, and a pair of glorious wings stretched out behind him. In the brilliant holy light, Li Yu's face was serious and solemn as he stretched out his palm. Gloria, no matter what difficulties you face, you need to uphold the belief of justice and treat everyone and anything fairly. Can you do it? In the holy light, Li Yu's question, which was not loud, seemed to explode in Gloria's mind like thunder. Endless illusions arose in Gloria's mind. In the illusions she faced all kinds of things and faced all kinds of choices. Can justice be guaranteed? I can do it. Gloria interrogated her heart and then got the truest answer. So, in the name of the holy light, I grant you the holy seal of justice. You will exercise the authority of the holy light and judge evil with justice. The power of faith and the holy light merged and turned into divine power, condensing into a holy emblem that represented the virtue of justice. The holy emblem, which was like a scale, was branded on Gloria's forehead. The bright holy light rushed up from Gloria's body, and the vast and thin power burst out violently. In just a moment, Gloria was promoted to legend through the holy seal of justice. It was just that. Her profession was a little strange. Northern Witch, Holy Light Priest, plus the Holy Knight's Holy Seal of Justice and Judgment skills, it was completely impossible to classify. Judge of Justice, in the name of the Holy Light, I grant you the title of Libra Saint. May the Holy Light be with you. With a turn in his mind, Li Yu immediately came up with a title of Dupe People. Thank you for your teaching. The great Holy Light Teacher, His Highness Holy Victor. The freshly made Libra saint, as if on a pilgrimage, bowed respectfully to Li Yu. Saint Seiya has come out, I've been fooling around. Li Yu laughed in his heart and reached out to help Gloria up. This is your own effort. Your beliefs have been recognized by the Holy Light, and you have the great power that the Holy Light has given you. This was not completely a dupe. If Gloria could not be firm in her beliefs and adhere to justice, even if Li Yu wanted to cheat, it would not be so convenient. Holy Seal of Justice. After this thing was branded on Gloria, Gloria has essentially become the chosen of the Holy Light. When I become a god with the Holy Light, Gloria will be the first pope of the Holy Light Church. Li Yu also had his own plans for promoting Gloria to legend. Next is to study the strategy of farming the ancient red dragon. When it comes to strategy, that player Sauron is the most professional. Chapter 14:16. Sauron, where are we now? Li Yu walked to the window and looked north. We've already run this far? Sauron's sacred blessing of you was a mark that Li Yu had given him. No matter where Sauron went, Li Yu could see his position at a glance. After leaving Whiterun, Sauron headed north, intending to pass through the Northland Kingdom and go to the Kingdom of Frost. At this moment, Sauron had arrived at the border of the Northland Kingdom. Sauron is worthy of being a protagonist. Wherever he goes, he won't stop. Seeing Sauron's current situation, Li Yu shook his head for a while. At the border of the Northland Kingdom, Sauron was fighting with a group of enemies in a dense cold coniferous forest. Half-elf, you're very strong. A group of figures shrouded in black robes and exuding dark red blood light surrounded the Sauron siblings. The stronger the prey, the more worthy it is to hunt. As long as we hunt you down, our god will be happier. We will be rewarded by our god. More than a dozen black-robed figures let out low growls from their throats, like the growls of wild beasts. Hunt? Let's see who's the hunter and who's the prey. Sauron raised his dark red dagger and stared at the group of black-robed figures with a cold face. If you provoke me, you will all die. The dark forest was Sauron's natural home ground. The Shadow Sword Saint had the ability to travel through shadows and could travel freely in the dark shadows. Shadow Stinger. Sauron's figure disappeared in an instant and appeared behind a black-robed figure in the next moment. The dark red dagger carried a pitch-black shadow power as it pierced into the back of one of the black-robed men. Roar! The black-robed figure let out a mournful roar after the dagger pierced through the heart. The black robe burst into pieces, and a huge werewolf appeared in front of Sauron. Werewolf, a believer of the god of hunting. Sauron saw the change in front of him, and his heart tightened. Werewolves were eroded by the blood of darkness and almost lost the vital points of normal humans. The dagger did not completely kill the werewolf. Roar, the werewolf, who had been stabbed in the heart, did not care about the injury on his body. He suddenly turned around and let the sharp blade cut open a huge wound on his body. He roared and waved his sharp claws, fiercely clawing at Sorin. War-creatures had a disgusting characteristic, and that was contagious. Any human who was attacked and injured by a war-creature would be infected with the disease and eventually turn into a war-creature. Caught off guard, it seemed that Sorin's injury was inevitable. However, there was no panic on Sauron's face, only a sneer. Holy blessing! When the war-creatures turned around to attack, Sauron activated the second feature of Blessing of Providence, Blessing of Holy Light. Holy light shone from Sorin's body, and the power to purify evil burst out from the dagger, like a scorching sun rising in the woodland. As the light engulfed the werewolf, his entire body was ignited by the holy light. With a shrill cry, he was burned to ashes by the holy light. Damn it! This half-elf has divine power. Capture that little girl and use her as a hostage. Otherwise we will all die. War-creatures were most afraid of this kind of holy purifying power. As long as it touched them, It would be like gasoline touching sparks, igniting them. Soren's might was unstoppable. The only way to survive was to capture Vivian as a hostage. It was a good idea, but unfortunately reality was cruel. A holy priestess. To the war creatures, Vivian was even more terrifying than Soren. Holy Nova. Vivian, who already knew that these people were war creatures and had been taught many strategies by Soren, immediately used the best spell to deal with the current situation. Holy Nova, the power of holy light violently erupted, forming a holy impact within a radius of 20 yards. A group of war creatures that were charging towards Vivian were hit by the holy impact. The dark blood in the weir creatures' bodies was ignited by the holy light. Amidst shrill cries, the group of war creatures was burned to ashes in an instant. Soren, I'm stronger than you. Compared to Soren, who had only killed one war creature, Vivian's battle record was even more glorious. Vivian raised her arm to show off to Soren. Vivian is the best. Soren's face was full of doting. He walked forward and reached out to touch Vivian's head. Too strong. You're much stronger than Big Brother. Excuse me. At this moment, a ray of holy light lingered around Soren and Vivian, turning into a figure condensed from holy light. Big Brother Victor, why are you here? Seeing the figure condensed from holy light, Vivian cried out in joy and rushed over. Then, he directly charged past the figure of holy light, missing the target. Vivian, this is just a communication spell. This is my shadow, I didn't come here personally. Liu helplessly laughed bitterly and released another ray of holy light to maintain the communication image so that it would not be destroyed by Vivian. Sir Victor, is there something you need? Solon knew that Victor must have something important to discuss with him. It's like this. Liu nodded at Soren. I've already contacted dozens of legendary powerhouses and plan to deal with the problem of the ancient red dragon as soon as possible. However, we lack information on the ancient red dragon. I'd like to see if you can find any information here. You want to clear the disaster's nest? With dozens of legendary professions, it's not impossible to clear a 40-man heroic dungeon. Soren habitually commented from a strategy perspective. I don't really understand what you mean. But from what you said, Soren, you seem to know a lot about the ancient red dragon. Liu definitely understood Soren's game terms, but as a native, he could only pretend not to know. Soren was stunned for a moment before he realized that there was no way to discuss strategy with a native. Yes, Sir Victor, I've seen some of the information left behind by my father. I have some understanding of the ancient red dragon. Since he could not explain things, Soren could only push the blame to his long-dead father again. Then, can you give me that information? If Soren could provide a strategy for the ancient red dragon, it would be very useful for Liu's next plan. This, Soren smiled helplessly. Last winter was very cold, and we didn't have enough firewood at home, so that's such a pity. Liu sighed, seemingly a little depressed. In fact, he was very clear that there was no information at all. The real information came from Soren himself. Sir Victor, if I still remember some information, can I join you in the battle? Together with you to suppress the ancient red dragon? At this moment, Soren's player mentality took over. How much profit would there be from killing a big boss like the ancient red dragon? It was said that the first team to clear the disaster's nest had even obtained dozens of legendary items, making a lot of money. How could Soren miss such an opportunity to make a fortune? Chapter 14-17. You want to join the battle? That's too dangerous. Liu looked at Soren deeply and was speechless for a long time. Was this the spirit of a player? As long as they could get orange equipment, it did not matter even if they died 10,000 times. But this was not a game. Soren was a level 12 Shadow Grand Swordsman. The ancient red dragon could kill him with a sneeze, right? How could he be so adventurous? Although Li Yu could guarantee Soren's safety, Soren did not know this. Money over life, only those who loved to fight could win. Was Soren's brain cramped to this extent? No. I can't join the battle. I can't join at all. Soren smiled and shook his head. With my current strength, I can't even withstand a casual attack from the ancient red dragon. Then how are you going to join? Li Yu felt that Soren's plan of leeching EXP and stealing equipment was too unrealistic. I have a special means of communication. Through this method, I can command the battle. I remember all the information about the ancient red dragon, and I know its attack skills and weaknesses. Under my command, even if I don't join the battle directly, I can guarantee that your chances of clearing the dungeon will be doubled. Soren confidently made his request. Damn. Are you really planning to steal equipment? The so-called special means of communication, the so-called command battle, how could Li Yu not know what was going on? Wasn't that a dungeon party? Once the party channel was opened, Soren could talk to any of his teammates at any time. As for command battle, it was obvious that Soren wanted to form his own party. Was this a scam? As the party leader, if Soren wanted to steal a few equipment, he just needed to change the loot distribution mode and no one would know. Interesting. Interesting. Haha. Soren, this guy, actually wants to scam a legendary powerhouse. How brave. Li Yu laughed in his heart, but his face did not show it. If your method is feasible, it's not a problem to let you join this battle. After pondering for a while, Li Yu nodded and threw out a rune stone. This is a location marker. I'll have someone open a portal later. We'll talk when we meet. How about it? Okay. Sauron nodded solemnly. In fact, Solon had no other choice. Soren, who was familiar with the plot, knew that the world was about to face a catastrophe. Even if he arranged the most reasonable leveling route, there was no way to become a legend in a short time. If one did not become a legend in the coming catastrophe, they would be nothing more than ants that could be casually crushed. In order to protect Vivian and survive in this world, Soren had to give it his all. Killing the ancient red dragon would definitely give him a huge amount of experience. Since Soren was the only player in the party, all the EXP would definitely go to Soren. With this amount of EXP, Soren could directly raise his profession level to around level 20. It was even possible for him to directly advance to legendary. Not to mention, the ancient red dragon's treasure had once allowed the first guild to raid the disaster's nest to make a fortune out of it. Even if Solon didn't take the equipment for himself, he would still earn a lot from the normal distribution of the loot. In any case, we're from the same hometown. I'll bring you to clear the dungeon once. In fact, in Li Yu's eyes, the ancient red dragon was a piece of cake. There was no need for any strategy at all. As long as he used a cheat, he would be able to flatten everything. No matter how strong the ancient red dragon was, it would not be able to withstand the power of the cheat. Since Soren was quite pleasing to the eye, Li Yu was willing to help him. Gloria, Master Langley, come here. Li Yu called Gloria and Langley and walked into the teleportation room on the top floor of the Mage Tower. I found someone familiar with the ancient red dragon. He is an expert in this field and will be very helpful in our crusade against the ancient red dragon. Li Yu turned his head and glanced at Langley and Gloria. He reached out and took out a rune stone. This is a positioning mark. Master Langley, enter this positioning mark into the teleportation circle. Gloria, after Master Langley opens the portal, you go and pick up that person. Okay. No problem. Gloria and Langley agreed in unison. Master Langley took the rune stone, released the teleportation circle authority, and entered the positioning mark recorded in the rune stone into the teleportation circle. Buzz, magic power poured into the teleportation circle, and Langley locked onto the positioning mark given by Li Yu. I'm going to pick them up. Gloria waved her hand and released a ray of light, opening a space channel on the teleportation circle, connecting the location of Soren and his sister. It's you guys? Stepping out of the teleportation circle, Gloria saw Soren and his sister and was stunned. Sir Victor is talking about you guys? It's us. Soren nodded seriously. Okay. Gloria remembered Soren's so-called Elven Ranger father and nodded slightly. Come with me. Sir Victor is waiting for you guys. With Soren and Vivian, Gloria turned and stepped into the teleportation circle. With a flash of light, the three appeared in the teleportation room of the Tower of Truth. Welcome, Soren and Vivian. Li Yu smiled and greeted Soren and his sister. Brother Victor, you're not faking it this time, are you? Vivian cheered and ran up. Like a monkey climbing a tree, she jumped onto Li Yu. Your Excellency Victor, these two little fellows, are they the people you mentioned who have a lot of connections? This. Master Langley saw Soren and his sister with a face full of suspicion. He didn't believe that these two little guys would know the information of the ancient red dragon. They probably don't even know what the ancient red dragon is, right? Trust my judgment. If there's anyone in this world who knows the ancient red dragon best, it's him. Li Yu pointed to Soren. The information he has is very helpful for us to defeat the ancient red dragon. It's unbelievable. Even with Li Yu's guarantee, Master Langley still felt a little incredulous. The ancient red dragon had slept for countless years, and most of the information about the ancient red dragon had been lost in history. Even Langley himself had to find many colleagues to piece together some fragmentary information. Now, such a little guy who was less than 20 years old was the person who knew the ancient red dragon best in this world? What kind of joke was this? If you don't believe me, I don't mind discussing the ancient red dragon with you. Soren also knew that if he didn't come up with some solid information, it would be wishful thinking to participate in the dragon-slaying battle, let alone command the battle. Sir Victor has confidence in you, so I naturally believe in Sir Victor. However, it's also necessary for us to discuss the ancient red dragon. Langley glanced at Soren and smiled. Little guy, the simplest question is, do you know how big the ancient red dragon is? The ancient red dragon, the dragon of disaster and destruction. A super-large dragon-like creature. It's 1,550 meters long. Because the ancient red dragon once fought with the beast god August, a part of its horn was cut off by the beast god. Its actual length is only 1,548 meters. Soren's voice was soft, and his tone was flat. But these words were like a hurricane, setting off huge waves in Langley's heart. How do you know so much? Langley flipped through countless information before coming to the conclusion that the ancient red dragon's length was more than 1,000 meters. Now, Soren's answer was accurate to 1 meter. No wonder Sir Victor said that he was the person who knew the ancient red dragon best in the world. Sure enough, His Highness Victor would not make a mistake. The people he found were people with real ability. Well, Soren pretended to be cool, but the honor fell to Li Yu. There was no room for reasoning. Chapter 14:18. The danger of disaster's nest lies in its environment. In the Mage Tower's Academic Hall, Soren stood on a high platform and spoke with a group of legends. A level 12 little guy was actually giving a lecture to a group of people who stood at the peak of the mortal world. It was a scene that only happened once in 100 years. The environment of Disaster's Nest is very harsh. It's full of lava and poisonous gas. The high temperature and thin air make it impossible for ordinary people to survive. To attack Disaster's Nest, we first need to have enough fire-resistant equipment and spells. As Soren spoke, he turned to look at Li Yu. Because of Sir Victor's holy light, we have a fire-resistant aura. Everyone, activate the aura together and stack the fire resistance to resist the high temperature of Disaster's Nest. However, the sulfur gas is not easy to deal with. We can solve this problem. The Witch Queen stood up and showed a leaf. I've contacted the Druids of the Ring of Earth. They will send people to participate in the battle against the ancient red dragon. The Druid's natural purification rune can purify the air and resist the sulfur gas. If it's a legend druid who specializes in nature spells, then there won't be a problem. Wild druids who specialize in transfiguration spells definitely won't do. Soren, who was familiar with the strategy, naturally knew that the druid's natural purification rune was the standard equipment for a party to raid Disaster's Nest. The Oak Elder's natural purification rune is more powerful than you think. Even if you enter the endless abyss, you will be able to breathe normally. The Witch Queen smiled and nodded before sitting down. Very good. With the fire-resistant aura and the natural purification rune, we have met the basic requirements to attack Disaster's Nest. Soren nodded and continued, now it's a matter of strategy. As he spoke, Soren picked up a crystal and looked at Li Yu. With Sir Victor's help, I have restored the map of Disaster's Nest. Soren activated the crystal in his hand. With a flash of light, a huge sand table appeared in the air. This is the entrance. Sauron picked up a wooden stick and pointed at the sand table. Disaster's Nest is the sleeping place of the ancient red dragon. A powerful sealing rune array has been set up at the entrance of the cave. This is draconic magic. Only by deciphering the runic array can we enter the Disaster Nest. This will depend on the efforts of all the mages. In the game, the Disaster Nest Instance Dungeon required players to complete a series of clearing quests. Players ran around until their legs broke before they could unlock the runic array of the Disaster Nest and unlock the Instance Dungeon. Now that there were so many legendary mages, there shouldn't be a need to run missions anymore, right? I specialize in runes. Leave this task to me. An old man with runes engraved on his face stood up confidently. I'm an inscription grandmaster. Even the ancient draconic runes of the Dragon of Disaster won't be a problem for me. Then I'll have to trouble you, Your Excellency Rune Word. Li Yu smiled and nodded to Rune Word Grandmaster Glandome, and then glanced at Soren with a hint of inquiry in his eyes. Soren nodded slightly. The quest to unlock the Disaster Nest did indeed require the help of a Rune Grandmaster. When players completed the quest, they only received a scroll. Now that a real Rune Grandmaster was here, there was even less of a problem. Once the runic array is unlocked, the real battle will begin. Deciphering the runic array will definitely alarm the guards of the Disaster Nest, as well as the sleeping ancient red dragon. The wooden stick in Soren's hand pointed to the deepest part of the sand table, where there was a sea of red. This is the sleeping place of the ancient red dragon. After we enter the Disaster Nest, we will encounter the guards of the Disaster Nest. They are a group of lava lizards and draconians. Of course, in front of a legendary powerhouse, apart from the Lava Lizard King and the Draconians, these guards aren't too strong. At this point, Soren's expression became very serious. However, if we can't break through the guards before the ancient red dragon fully awakens, we will be blocked halfway by the awakened ancient red dragon. Soren drew a circle on the sand table with his wooden stick. In the Disaster Nest, only the sleeping place of the ancient red dragon has enough room to maneuver. If we are blocked halfway by the ancient red dragon, in a narrow and unavoidable environment, the ancient red dragon's lava will drown us. The only outcome is being wiped out. In the game, when clearing the Disaster Nest Instance Dungeon, countless players had paid the price of being wiped out countless times before coming up with such a rule. If they did not reach the sleeping place of the ancient red dragon before it fully awakened, even if they were a pay-to-win warrior with godly equipment, only death awaited them. So, after entering the Disaster Nest, we can't hold back. We have to advance as fast as we can, and we have to use our strongest attacks to break through the defenses of the nest guards. Before the ancient red dragon fully awakens, we must reach the sleeping place of the ancient red dragon. Speaking of this, Soren recalled the scene in the game back then and let out a long sigh. According to the normal way of fighting, the ultimate skills were reserved for the boss, who would be willing to waste them on the small monsters. As a result, countless teams were killed by the ancient red dragon's lava. This disgusting setting of the disaster nest was named as one of the most annoying settings in Clash of the Titans by the players. Because of this, the players who were brutally abused had no choice but to greet the female relatives of the game designers. Now, Soren, a professional player, was actually clearing the disaster nest instance dungeon again in the real world. Fate was truly amazing. In 2 hours, after successfully breaking through the defense line of the ancient red dragon, we will be able to reach the disaster hall, the sleeping place of the ancient red dragon. At this time, we can be considered to have officially begun the battle. The wooden stick pointed at the disaster hall, and a dazzling light shone. A ferocious and terrifying shadow of a giant dragon appeared in midair. This is the ancient red dragon, the dragon of disaster and destruction, one of the most terrifying monsters in the world. Its scales have extraordinary defense. Attacks below the legendary level are unable to break through its defense. In addition, the ancient red dragon is immune to fire, so mages don't need to use their fireballs. In addition to these common characteristics, the ancient red dragon also has a profession level equivalent to a legendary warrior with a profession level of 35 and above. Its melee and magic power are extremely strong. So, we must ensure that we have enough defense. Otherwise, we will be killed by the ancient red dragon with a single swipe of its claws. Soren, a professional player, explained the dungeon strategy in detail to the legendary experts from the perspective of a player. Now was not the time to hide anything. If something went wrong, no one would be able to survive. Now that's professional. Liu secretly nodded. Calling Soren over to form a team to clear the dungeon was really making the best use of people and resources. Chapter 14:19. Sauron, I have something to discuss with you. After Sauron introduced the game guide to everyone, the pre-battle meeting came to an end. Liu called Sauron over and prepared to create something new. Sir Victor, what orders do you have? Following Liu to the study, Sauron sat down on a stool and asked Liu. Sauron, the battle in Disaster's Nest is extremely dangerous. The slightest bit of carelessness will result in total annihilation. You should know that the ancient red dragon's strength is comparable to that of a low divine power god. Liu looked up at Soren and said with a smile, I'm going to make a virtual illusion. It will completely simulate the environment of Disaster's Nest and the power of the ancient red dragon. Through this illusion, everyone's tactics will be honed until there are no mistakes. What do you think? This, Sauron opened his mouth wide and was a bit stunned. Wasn't this so-called virtual illusion a virtual game? Were you planning to create a Disaster's Nest game? This is very difficult, isn't it? Sauron came back to his senses and thought for a long time. He felt that this was too difficult. Even if Sauron was a professional player and was familiar with the Disaster's Nest strategy, he had personally killed the ancient red dragon. However, it was too unrealistic for Sauron to create all the game settings. Moreover, the real world was not a game. This virtual illusion that you created with the ancient red dragon as a wooden dummy, not only would it not serve as a training exercise, but it would also mislead everyone. So, I need you to provide me with information. In fact, Liu did not need Sauron to provide any information at all. This was just a pretense. The Disaster's Nest under the Carmo Mountains might be a mysterious unknown world to others. However, to Liu, what secrets did this world have? His main body, which was hidden in the void, had adapted to this world for a while and was familiar with the fragility of this world. He did not cause any commotion and only had the system scan the Disaster's Nest. It would not affect anything. The system scanned the information of the disaster's nest and constructed a virtual illusion. It couldn't be any easier. Even without the system, Liu could construct a virtual world that was equivalent to reality with the illusory power of the Great Void Path. Therefore, Liu's cheating method was much more subtle. They didn't have to resort to brute force to kill the ancient Crimson Dragon. Instead, they had to resort to some technical means, which was more subtle. It would also give the legendary champions a greater sense of honor and belonging. In order not to go too far, Liu called Sauron over and used Sauron's information as a cover to build a virtual illusion. "I'll give it a try." Since Sir Victor wanted to make a virtual game for practice, although Soren didn't think it would be very useful, he didn't resist too much. He was very cooperative and provided Liu with all kinds of information. First, the map. Using the sand table that Soren had shown during his class as a foundation, Liu cast a spell to create a simple map image, allowing Soren to personally experience the map of the disaster's nest. I don't really remember the exact size. Soren's soul fell into the map image, circled around the virtual disaster's nest, and then left the map. Sir Victor, in the information that my father recorded, there was no mention of the exact size of the disaster's nest. The environment inside is also not very clear. I have no way to confirm it. Even professional players wouldn't pay attention to how long or wide the disaster's nest was, nor would they care about how high the temperature was inside. It's fine. I'll combine everyone's information and make a rough estimate of the environment. The environment is worse than the real disaster's nest. Won't it be better for you to train? Liu had already created a virtual illusion of the disaster's nest long ago. He was just putting on an act now. Alright then. Soren recalled his experience in the game. Based on his guesses and estimates, he gave some vague data according to Liu's request. However, Soren was still very clear about some key things. For example, how many monsters there were on the road, where those monsters were hiding, what skills they had, and what equipment they had. These things were Soren's expertise. As he spoke, Soren suddenly felt a shock in his heart. I was too clear, wasn't I? I even said that the cave guard, the lava lizard king, would self-destruct before it died. Isn't this exposed? If he hadn't killed the lava lizard king with his own hands, how would he know that it would self-destruct before it died? The problem was that the lava lizard king was still alive and well. Even his father, who had died who knew how long ago, couldn't take the blame for such a flaw, right? Soren secretly glanced at Liu and found that Liu didn't seem to notice this at all. Instead, he was seriously thinking and constantly deducing the details of the disaster's nest. Soren secretly sighed in relief. Yes, thank you for your help. Soren, your information is very valuable. As if he had really deduced something, Liu waved his hand at Soren and went into the construction of the virtual illusion. Alright, as long as you think it's useful. Since he had exposed himself, Soren didn't dare to pursue this matter anymore and hurriedly left. Time passed day by day. A month had passed. When the legends who stayed in the Wizard Tower had all played with the holy light in various ways, Liu announced that his virtual illusion had officially been completed. Everyone, this is the great pioneering work of defeating the ancient Red Dragon. Liu gathered everyone in the academic hall and gave each of them something that looked like an eye patch. With the information provided by Soren and the information collected by everyone, I have created a virtual illusion. Inside it is a complete simulation of all the information about the disaster's nest, including the ancient Red Dragon. Liu held up an eye patch in his hand and demonstrated it in front of their eyes. Activate the runes, and we can all enter the virtual disaster's nest. Come, let's go and see how strong the ancient Red Dragon is. Virtual illusion? This thing, is it reliable? Everyone took the eye patch in doubt and imitated Liu's appearance. They put it on and released a ray of holy light to activate the runes on the iPad. With a buzz, everyone felt their souls shake, and a brand new world appeared in front of them. This is the Carmo Mountains? Everyone was in a huge valley surrounded by steep cliffs, as if it was a huge volcanic crater. There was a faint, scorching aura around them, and there was also the smell of sulfur. It seemed this really was the entrance to the disaster's nest. Chapter 1420. Yes, this is the Carmo mountain range. Liu pointed at the cliff in front of them, where there was a huge cave shining with red light. In fact, this is the entrance to Disaster's Nest. Because I don't know what kind of sealing runes the ancient red dragon set up, my illusion is not sealed by runes. Everyone can enter Disaster's Nest directly. Alright, it looks quite real. The legendary powerhouses smiled and shook their heads. They did not care too much about this virtual illusion and just treated it as a game. Let's go. Let's take a look at Sir Victor's virtual illusion. Everyone laughed as they stepped into the cave and entered Disaster's Nest. Then, what the hell is this? Fire. My hair is on fire. Damn it. That lizard sprayed lava all over my face. Bastard. Why does it hurt? It hurts. Not long after, the legendary powerhouses fled Disaster's Nest in a sorry state, each of them covered in dirt. Everyone, I've already said that this place imitates the environment and monsters of Disaster's Nest as much as possible. This is not a game. In this illusion, if you are injured, you will still feel pain and die. However, you can revive at any time. Liu smiled and shrugged. Don't underestimate this illusion. You can't blame me if you get killed by the ancient red dragon. Sounds interesting. The illusion was so real that it might really be helpful in the battle of the ancient red dragon. Then, they could not play around. The group of legendary powerhouses put away their playful thoughts and waved their hands to release a ray of holy light to heal their injuries. One by one, they picked up their weapons and stepped into Disaster's Nest with a serious expression. Stacking a series of fire-resistance halos, the group of legendary powerhouses endured the holy light, brandished their weapons, released their spells, and killed their way into Disaster's Nest. After a while, everyone retreated in defeat again. Damn it! Damn it! I'm going to be suffocated to death by the sulfuric smell of Disaster's Nest. I can't breathe. The legendary powerhouses fled Disaster's Nest in a sorry state. They leaned on their weapons and bent their backs, gasping for breath. Didn't I say it before? This place perfectly simulated the environment of Disaster's Nest. Air filled with sulfur, scorching hot, and highly toxic also exists. Liu spread out his hands with a smile on his face, without the slightest bit of embarrassment for not reminding everyone. Alright, I'll try my best to simulate the Disaster's Nest perfectly. The corners of everyone's mouths twitched as they shook their heads helplessly. Without the Oak Elder's natural purification runes, we can forget about entering. After a few hits, they will be suffocated to death by the poisonous sulfur. Right now, I'm just letting everyone experience it. For a real battle simulation, of course, we have to gather everyone. Liu smiled and pointed behind his ear. Use the holy light to activate the runes here, and you'll be able to get out of the illusion. I'm leaving first. If you're interested, you can continue to play. With a wave of his hand, Liu's figure instantly disappeared and left the illusory space. Without the natural purification rune, there's no way to fight. Everyone left the illusory space one after another. A day later, under the constant urging of the Witch Queen, the legendary druid Oak Elder, who lived at an extremely slow pace, finally arrived at the Tower of Truth and met up with everyone. Treant. When Liu saw this Oak Elder, he realized that this legendary druid was actually a huge oak tree with a human face. If not for the fact that the teleportation room was extremely spacious, this Oak Elder's arrival would probably have pierced through the roof. Old wood, what the hell are you doing? Turning into this ghastly form, are you here to tear down the house? The Witch Queen seemed to have an unusual relationship with the Oak Elder. When she saw the Oak Elder in his treant form, she angrily raised her magic staff and smashed it heavily at him. Oh, sorry, I've been in the forest for too long. I've gotten used to my oak form and forgot to change back. With a flash of green light, the Oak Elder turned into his human form. However, the druid was too natural. It was so natural that there was nothing on his body that was not natural. My eyes. My eyes. This old man's eyes are going blind. A burly man with a head full of green hair and a height of almost 2 meters appeared in the teleportation room in front of everyone. This made the group in the teleportation room so depressed that they were speechless for a long time. You're a green-haired man, why are you still playing with body art? It would be better if you were a cute girl. Oh, sorry. I haven't come out in a long time. I forgot to wear clothes. The Oak Elder hurriedly waved behind him and covered himself with a layer of clothes made of leaves, finally covering the places that needed to be covered. Your Excellency Oak Elder, this time I invited you to come here to deal with the threat of the ancient red dragon together. We need your help. As the organizer, Liu could only stare at the annoyance in his heart and reply to this green-haired man. Once the ancient red dragon awakens, all the countries will turn into a sea of fire. The forest will also be burned to ashes by its raging flames. In order to protect nature, we druids of the Earth Ring are willing to fight side by side with everyone. The Oak Elder immediately expressed that he was willing to fight with all his might. Then, let's go to the virtual world to experiment first. He brought the Oak Elder to the academic hall, which had been changed into a virtual world battlefield. Everyone put on blindfolds, activated the runes, and entered the virtual world, officially simulating the battle against the ancient red dragon. Since it's a simulation, I'll watch the show first. After letting Sauron in, Liu did not plan to go in and be tortured. Liu's excuse was that with so many people entering the virtual world together, he was worried that there would be an accident in the virtual world, so he needed to stay outside to ensure that there would be no problems. In fact, the quality of the system's products was guaranteed, so how could there be any problems? The only problem was that Liu was slacking off. In this virtual world, I've directly doubled the strength of all the monsters in the disaster nest. Even if they have Sauron's strategy, they will still be tortured miserably. Sure enough, in the first simulated attack, the legendary team had just killed their way through the lava lizard's area. Before they could even enter the half-dragon's area, they were blocked halfway by the ancient red dragon, who had a belly full of woke up grumpily, and half of their body was paralyzed. The overwhelming lava spurted out, drenching the group of legendary masters. Their bodies were covered in flames, and even their fire-resistance auras could not withstand it. Following closely behind was the Dragon Wing Strike, which was like harvesting wheat. This group of legendary masters who were blocked in the narrow space and could not escape at all were all swept to the ground. Invincible Hearthstone. They failed the first round. Except for a few legendary masters who saw that the situation was not good and immediately used Invincible Hearthstone to escape, the others were all dead. The only reward was that through this battle, it was once again proven that Invincible Hearthstone was an absolute life-saving skill that could be used anywhere. Let's take a break and continue. Very unconvinced, the legendary masters fought with this virtual world. They would not give up until they cleared the stage. Only Sauron was puzzled. That's not right, right? In my memory, the disaster nest was not so scary, right? With so many legendary masters and holy light skills, why did it take so long to kill through the lava lizard's area? Also, why was the ancient red dragon so fierce? One lava spurt, and even dozens of fire-resistance auras could not withstand it? One dragon wing strike, and all the meat shields and defense knights were swept to the ground? Sauron did not know that there was a scammer who was ruthlessly scamming them. Sweat more in normal times and bleed less in battle. When practicing, you have to magnify the enemy's strength. When you encounter a weakened enemy in a real battle, the battle will be easier. Scammerly expressed, is this a scam? This is for your own good. The book group is full. Readers who have joined the group, please add a new group, 137909823. Chapter 14:21. The battle in the virtual world continued. Again and again, they charged into Disaster's Nest and were defeated. Everyone's experience in clearing dungeons increased, and their teamwork improved. Mages, focus fire in 3 seconds and cast Ice Freeze. We must kill the half-dragon maid within 5 minutes. Otherwise, she will use the skill High Spirits and revive all the dead draconians. Now we are about to face the real test. The ancient red dragon's sleeping place is right in front of us. Defense Knights, you must hold the ancient red dragon back. Let's go. Holy light and flames intertwined. Sword light shone, and dragon roars shook the sky. Fight. Wipe out. The cycle repeated over and over again. They would not give up until they defeated the enemy. The battle in the virtual world lasted for 3 months. We won. Ha 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 ha. We are the Dragon Slayers. We won. On this day, the dragon slaying team, who had experienced countless wipes, finally defeated the ancient red dragon and completed a great feat even though this was just a virtual world. Hee, if I hadn't weakened the ancient red dragon's strength, it would have been impossible for you to defeat the ancient red dragon whose strength had doubled. However, Liu was still very impressed with their battle results. Even though Liu had gradually weakened the ancient red dragon, by the time they defeated it, the ancient red dragon was still 50% stronger. Compared to the real ancient red dragon, the ancient red dragon in the virtual world is 50% stronger. So, the dragon-slaying team is fully mature and can officially fight. Liu deactivated the virtual world and smiled as he looked at everyone who had left the virtual world. Congratulations, this is a great victory. Ha 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 ha. Your Excellency Victor, we have defeated it. We have defeated it once, and we can defeat it countless times. Victory belongs to us. The tough battle in the virtual world had allowed everyone to use the power of holy light to reach perfection, and their strength had increased by a lot. Now, it was time to kill their way into the Carmo Mountains, the Disaster's Nest, and challenge the real ancient red dragon. We will officially set off in 3 days. The arduous battle in the illusory world had exhausted everyone physically and mentally. They had to spend 3 days recuperating to restore their combat power to its peak state before killing the ancient red dragon. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. In the past few months, we've put in all our effort and done everything we could to defeat evil, to defeat the ancient red dragon. Standing on the teleportation platform in the teleportation hall, Liu's expression was solemn, but his eyes were filled with excitement. In front of Liu, more than 40 fully armed dragon-slaying teams were standing in an orderly manner. Behind the dragon-slaying team were the Rhine King, Vivian, and the disciples and relatives of the various legendary masters. There were still countless people gathered outside the Mage Tower. They were the kings, ministers, and some of the people from the southern kingdoms. This battle is a battle of justice against evil. It's also a battle to save the entire southern countries. We have no way out. Once the ancient red dragon awakens and rushes out of the disaster nest, all the countries will be turned into a sea of fire, and countless people will die. We can only fight to the death. We will not return until we win this battle. Let's go. Liu drew his longsword and stepped into the teleportation portal with his head held high. We will fight to the death, and we will not return until we win. Everyone in the dragon-slaying team raised the weapons in their hands and shouted loudly as they stepped into the teleportation portal with their heads held high. Their mighty shouts echoed from the Mage Tower, and their fighting spirit shook the heavens and the earth. May all of you be invincible and return victorious. Outside the Mage Tower, the people from the southern kingdoms and various cities bowed deeply with respect. This is the Carmo mountain range. During this period, Liu had Master Langley set up a teleportation portal in the Carmo mountain range. After passing through the teleportation portal, everyone arrived at the entrance of the disaster nest. As expected, it's the ancient draconic runes. The rune grandmaster took the lead and walked to the sealed disaster nest. He carefully observed the runes and began to break the rune seal at the entrance of the nest. No problem, I'll destroy the runes now. A ray of magic light shot into the entrance of the nest. Boom! The ground cracked and the earth shook. The huge cliff in front of them collapsed, revealing a cave entrance that emitted scorching flames and a strong smell of sulfur. Prepare for battle. Add fire resistance aura and activate nature's purification. Defense Knights in front, advance. Due to his perfect battle command in the virtual world, even though his strength was low, Soren had won the respect of all the legendary powerhouses. With Soren's command, the dungeon team officially stepped into the disaster nest. The battle instantly erupted. Lava lizards. As soon as they stepped into the disaster nest, a group of lava lizards that were dozens of meters long and covered in raging flames roared and charged at them. It's actually exactly the same as in the virtual world. Sir Victor is indeed amazing. After fighting in the illusory world for 3 months, he had killed so many lava lizards that his hands had grown numb. He had no idea how many times he had killed. No one panicked at all. According to the battle plan that had been implemented countless times in the virtual world, the melee powerhouses burst out with a holy light and brandished their weapons, fiercely attacking the lava lizard. Frost Freeze, Frost Arrow Rain, Icicle. The legendary wizards in the back threw out a series of ice spells. Then, they're so weak? Yeah. They're much weaker than the lava lizards in the virtual world. With just one round of attacks, the first wave of lava lizards was instantly wiped out. Compared to the battle in the virtual world, these lava lizards were too weak. The virtual world is just a simulation, after all. It can't be exactly the same. It's inevitable that there are some differences in strength. Liu naturally wouldn't say that he had tricked everyone, so he could only explain it this way. Advance quickly. Soren didn't hesitate at all and immediately ordered the attack. In his opinion, the current disaster hive was the normal disaster hive. The disaster hive in the virtual fantasy realm was simply a nightmare. Kill. Wizards cover the area with ice spells. Knights charge. The legendary team charged forward like a hurricane, sweeping out with unstoppable momentum. Soon, the team welcomed their first test. A group of insects. You dare to break into the palace of His Excellency the Dragon of Disaster? The great nest guard Lord Tulas will make you pay the price. As the raging flames surged, 100-meter-long giant beast with lava flowing all over its body roared and rushed out like an earth dragon. This was the nest guard, the leader of the lava lizards, Tulas, the first boss of the disaster nest. Defensive knights attack. Wizards focus fire with ice spells. Melee knights activate vengeful fury and attack with all your might. The battle erupted. Chapter 1422. Weak. Too weak. Too weak. When the boss battle broke out, everyone could clearly feel that this nest guard Tulas, who gave them a lot of pressure in the virtual illusion, was too weak. The attacks that needed to be blocked with all their might were easily blocked. The nest guard's fire burst skill did not cause much damage to them under the protection of the fire resistance aura. Compared to the virtual illusion, they had to be more careful. They needed their teammates to continuously cast holy light healing spells to withstand the nest guard's attack. Tulas was now very easy to deal with. He only needed to use holy light a few times, and there was almost no damage. Attack with all your might. Soren was familiar with the nest guard's true strength, so he was not surprised. The experience of clearing Disaster's nest in the past could be used here. In less than half an hour, the lair guard was knocked to the ground. Lord Calamity Dragon will not let you go. The lair guard Tullace roared and fell to the ground with a loud bang. It's going to explode. Dodge. Priests all cast power word shield. With a loud bang, the nest guard's explosion shook the surroundings and sent debris flying everywhere. Although the people who were prepared to deal with it were covered in dirt from the flying debris and dust, they did not suffer any injuries. Continue forward. After killing the lava lizards, the drakens were right in front of them. In the ancient red dragon's nest, the lava lizards were the nest guards, responsible for guarding the periphery of the Disaster's nest. The drakens were the servants of the ancient red dragon and lived around the sleeping hall. Don't tangle with the drakens. Just rush over and kill the maid. The second boss of the Disaster's nest, the Draken Maid. This was a troublesome monster. It was not troublesome because of how strong it was, but because it had a very troublesome skill. Primordial Draken Maid. Primordial drakens could not only restore half-dead drakens to their peak state instantly, but also restore their HP and MP. Moreover, it could also revive the dead drakens. The strategy of clearing the drakens was not about how many drakens you killed, but about how quickly you killed the Draken Maid. If you did not kill it, it would be useless no matter how many monsters you killed. He had the correct strategy, powerful strength, and countless simulated battles. Under the attacks of the crowd, the half-dragon Maid full of vitality could only scream and fall to the ground. It's said that the Dragon of Disaster and this half-dragon Maid full of vitality have a story that must be told? Looking like this, you can even go and carve it? The half-dragon Maid looked like a giant lizard that walked upright. Liu admired the Dragon of Disaster's taste very much. I thought too highly of myself. Liu smiled and shook his head. The Dragon of Disaster was just a dragon, so its aesthetic sense was definitely different from that of humans. Perhaps in the eyes of the Dragon of Disaster, the half-dragon Maid was a peerless beauty? Without expending much effort, everyone had already killed their way through the outer perimeter. In front of them was the sleeping hall, where the ancient red dragon slept. The real test had arrived. Consume the potion, replenish your HP and MP, and return to your peak state. Although they hadn't suffered many injuries, they had consumed a lot of stamina and mana. They were about to face a powerful enemy, so it was necessary to return to their peak state. After spending 10 minutes and a little rest, everyone had completely returned to their peak state and officially stepped into the sleeping hall of the ancient red dragon. This was a huge underground cave. In the middle of the vast lair there was a huge lava lake. In the scorching magma, there was a dragon that was over 1,000 meters long. The dragon was covered in red scales, and its back was covered with bone spurs. On its head, there were more than a dozen ferocious dragon horns that stood up like spears. The huge horn in the middle of its forehead was broken off from the top. This was the ancient red dragon, the Dragon of Disaster and Destruction. Aha! How interesting! I just woke up and breakfast is delivered to me? When everyone entered the sleeping hall and came to the lava lake, the ancient red dragon had already opened its eyes. A pair of huge vertical eyes slowly opened, and flames shone like two suns rising from the ground. Ferocious and ruthless, boundless and violent. An enormous pressure enveloped everyone, as if the sky was collapsing and the earth was caving in. Draconic Aura. The extraordinary ability of the ancient red dragon, Dragon Aura of Disaster. This was a type of extraordinary ability similar to Divine Aura. In the face of the ancient red dragon's Dragon Aura of Disaster, everyone had to face a willpower test at all times. As long as they failed the willpower test once, they would lose their will to fight under the Dragon Aura of Disaster. They would tremble in fear and fall into endless fear. Valiance. Liu flicked his finger on the blade of his sword, and the seal of valiance of the 8 great virtues of holy light was activated. Holy light shone and fell like raindrop. Valiant and fearless. Under the blessing of the holy light, everyone's fighting spirit was high, and they were not affected by the dragon aura at all. This was a real battle. Although Liu knew that everyone could resist the dragon aura with mind magic, but since they were here, they couldn't just watch, right? Moreover, this was very pretentious. What kind of power is this? You can actually resist my dragon aura of disaster? The ancient red dragon's eyes narrowed, and it looked at Liu with shock. The dragon aura of disaster was not an ordinary power. It was one of the most powerful powers of the ancient red dragon. It was because of this extraordinary talent that the ancient red dragon had an illustrious reputation comparable to the gods. Even with the blessing of mind magic, they could not completely resist the dragon aura of disaster. At most, they would be left with 80% of their strength. Those who were weaker would even completely lose their battle power. Is the dragon aura of disaster very strong? It's just a trick to scare children. Don't show off your abilities with this little bit of ability. Liu glanced at the ancient red dragon in disdain and hooked his finger. Worm, get over here and accept your death. You're courting death. The ancient red dragon roared furiously, and there was a loud explosion in the lava lake. The hot lava surged like a tide. You're just a worm that's not even a legend. How dare you be so presumptuous in front of the great dragon aura of disaster? Worm, I'll chew you up bit by bit. In the surging lava, the ancient red dragon twisted its huge body, stretched its huge dragon wings, and stood up. Its eyes were like the scorching sun, and there was endless ferocity. Legend? Liu lowered his head and looked at himself. He smiled and shook his head. Sorry, I forgot that I'm not a legend yet. But it doesn't matter, I'll be done soon. Boom! Bright holy light shone from Liu's body. A holy halo shone above his head, and a pair of glorious wings spread out behind his back. A vast, majestic, and holy power suddenly erupted from Liu's body. In the blink of an eye, Liu was promoted to a legend in front of the ancient red dragon's stunned eyes. You said that I'm not a legend, so I'll promote to a legend right away. It's that simple. There are a lot of things to do today, so I can only update twice. Chapter 1423. Worm, you surprised me. The ancient red dragon was stunned for a moment by Liu's urgency to ascend. However, in the eyes of the ancient red dragon, Liu was just stuck at the juncture of promotion. It was still a normal promotion. So what if he promoted? What was a legend? It was not like the ancient red dragon had never encountered a situation where it was besieged by dozens of legends. The only impression the ancient red dragon had of the dragon slayers it had encountered before was that legends, especially legendary warriors, were very chewy. I woke up from my sleep and happened to be a little hungry. Since the snacks are delivered to my door, I won't be polite. Magma rushed up and the scorching flames boiled like a sea of fire. Roar, with a deafening dragon roar, the ancient red dragon stretched its neck and raised its head. The red scales between its chest and abdomen suddenly lit up with a scorching light, like a scorching sun. Flames condensed, compressed, condensed. A ball of sun-like light moved up from its chest and abdomen, quickly passing through its neck and reaching its throat. Then, the ancient red dragon opened its huge mouth filled with fangs. In the depths of its throat, an extremely scorching ball of fire was like a condensed sun. It accumulated, condensed, and was about to be spewed out. Destructive dragon breath. This was another famous skill of the ancient red dragon. Similar to the dragon aura of calamity, this destructive dragon breath was also a transcendent talent. This was the origin of the name, Dragon of Calamity and Destruction. The destructive dragon breath had a rule characteristic similar to divine power. Not only was it high temperature and flames, but it also had a part of the power of the law of destruction. Under this destructive dragon breath, the law of destruction allowed the high temperature and flames of the dragon breath to have precedence on the level of the law. Any resistance would be suppressed by the law and be reduced by a few levels. Defensive knights, go up and activate invincibility. Hold on. In Sauron's tactics, the destructive dragon breath of the ancient red dragon was not spitting saliva. It could not be spat out as many times as it wanted. Let the paladins take turns to activate invincibility and line up in a row like a human wall to withstand the destructive dragon breath. This was Sauron's plan. This tactic was very reasonable and appropriate. However, he wasn't familiar with Liu. He didn't know that this pretentious criminal would often act pretentiously. Spit? It was too disgusting. This is simply intolerable. The pretentious criminal was disgusted when he saw the thick phlegm condensed in the ancient red dragon's throat. He was furious and decided to teach the ancient red dragon how to be hygienic. Do you have any civility? Dazzling holy light shone in Liu's hand. The holy light instantly condensed and turned into a huge golden hammer of holy light. Didn't your mother teach you that children should be hygienic? Don't spit everywhere. With a furious roar, Liu swung the 100-meter-long sacred light hammer in his hand and smashed it down heavily. Boom! Just as the ancient red dragon's breath of destruction was about to be spat out, the huge hammer of holy light swung out heavily and smashed into the ancient red dragon's throat with a loud bang. Roar! With a painful roar, the ancient red dragon's huge body was actually smashed into the air by the hammer. The thick phlegm that was about to be spat out was suddenly smashed back. I hate people like you who spit everywhere the most. You have to be polite, understand? The holy wings suddenly spread out, and Liu's figure whizzed into the air. He raised the huge hammer of holy light in his hand again and smashed it down on the ancient red dragon's head from top to bottom. Boom! Another explosion. The ancient red dragon, who had just been smashed into the air, did not have time to adjust its flying posture before it was smashed down by Liu's hammer. Roar! The ancient red dragon cried out again and fell straight down from the air. With a loud crash, it crashed into the ground. Gravel and dust flew everywhere. Ah! Is this the hammer of justice? It's so powerful? Master Victor is too terrifying. Too powerful. Too powerful. The group of legendary masters who were waiting below were all in a daze, as if they had been petrified. What happened to the promised team battle? What happened to the promised battle to the death? Master Victor, you're making us very helpless by doing this. You can fight them alone, so why did you trick us into coming here? Was it just to shout 666 for you? That Master Victor hates spitting everywhere? We must pay attention to this problem and remember it in our hearts at all times. Seeing this unhygienic, ancient red dragon being beaten so badly, the legendary masters shuddered. Don't spit everywhere was a taboo that could not be violated. Especially the oak elder, this druid. What was the big deal about spitting everywhere for an oak elder who lived in the forest? Even the problem of excretion could be solved anywhere. When we go back, we must tell all the druids about this taboo. They must not spit everywhere, and they must not urinate anywhere. If Master Victor finds out, the consequences will be severe. How severe? Just look at this ancient red dragon that was smashed into a daze. Druids were also civilized people, so they must be hygienic. That was what the oak elder thought. He did not feel that hygienic was different from the natural life that they pursued. What are you looking at? Hit it. Beat this bastard to death. Liu swung his hammer twice and smashed the ancient red dragon until it was dizzy. Suddenly, he felt that the atmosphere behind him was not right, so he hurriedly turned around and called out to everyone. "Oh, okay. The ancient red dragon is too pitiful. I can't bear to do it. Sigh. Since we're here, we should do something. Why do I suddenly feel that the ancient red dragon is so pitiful? I feel like we're bullying it." "Shut up. This is justice against evil. Justice will win." The group of legendary masters raised their weapons and charged towards the ancient red dragon with extremely complicated feelings. Roar. Roar. After taking 2 hits from the hammer, the ancient red dragon was almost beaten into a retard. Even with its godlike strength, it could not withstand someone's cheating. At this moment, it was still in a dizzy state and had not recovered yet. It was besieged by a group of legendary masters. It was like a little bottom that was being violently ravaged. It did not have any of the elegance of the dragon of disaster and destruction. I knew it. Seeing this, Sauron was completely speechless. Gathering helpers everywhere, collecting all kinds of information, comprehending the holy light, and going through a few months of virtual training. It turned out that it was all a scam. There was no need for others to intervene. You could beat the ancient red dragon down with one hand. Playing so much just for fun? Brother, can't you just play the game properly? Can't you give me an environment to clear instance dungeons? Chapter 1424. This is a joke. The incomparably powerful ancient red dragon had fallen in front of them just like that. The group of legendary powerhouses present had yet to come back to their senses. Every legendary master harbored the belief of fighting to the death in the battle of justice to save the world, and some were even prepared to sacrifice themselves. But the current situation made them speechless. The promised fight to the death had actually become beat the dog while it's down. The contrast was too great, and they could not keep up with the rhythm. Liu looked at everyone with some embarrassment, coughed dryly, and started to bluff again. I didn't expect that at the critical moment of fighting against evil, my understanding of the holy light would deepen. I broke through the realm all of a sudden, and my strength increased too much. I couldn't control it as I wished, so I was a little heavy-handed. In order to not let the group of legendary masters feel that he was too useless, Liu had to explain a little. Was bluffing these legendary masters really just to fight against the ancient red dragon? Liu's goal was never the ancient red dragon. This was just a cover to bluff people. What was Liu's purpose in coming to this world? Studying how to deify chaos, and reaching the 3rd step of chaos as soon as possible was Liu's fundamental purpose. The method to deify chaos was to apatheicize. Liu did this not to save the world, but to apatheicize. The legendary masters present had all become users of the holy light, which was equivalent to becoming believers of the holy light. In addition to this glorious victory, the greatness of the holy light would definitely spread to all countries. At this point, Liu's foundation for apatheicizing was already solid. As for the attack just now, it was not only to show off, but also to form an invincible impression in the hearts of these legendary masters, so that they would revere him. Revere was the foundation of faith. Faith in the gods was never out of gratitude, but out of reverence. Accidentally increased my strength too much? Hearing Liu's explanation, the legendary masters were speechless for a long time. I also want to accidentally increase my strength too much. You're just showing off. He must be showing off, right? Lord Victor, as expected of an emissary of the Holy Light, as expected of a teacher of the Holy Light. His power is simply too great. Previously, when Liu was not yet a legend, everyone respected him but did not fear him. Now that they had seen Liu smash the ancient red dragon with 2 hammers, everyone felt a sense of awe towards Liu. At this moment, everyone looked at Liu with eyes filled with respect and deep fear. This was in line with Liu's goal. No matter what, we have won. Li Yu chuckled. There was no need to explain how awesome the life of a cheat was. The enemy had been defeated. As for the details, there was no need to care about them. We defeated the ancient red dragon and saved the southern countries. This was a glorious victory. Now, it's time for us to reap our spoils of war. Give a carrot after a stick. Under the carrot and stick, Li Yu became even more majestic and great in the eyes of this group of legendary masters. Other than Victor's father, Count Antares, everyone else had already obtained their spoils. Wow, what an amazing wealth! Everyone found the ancient red dragon's treasure vault behind the sleeping hall. The moment the treasure vault was opened, even the group of legendary masters who had been in high positions for a long time were stunned by the dazzling array of treasures in the treasure vault. In the huge treasure vault, the gold coins and gems piled up like mountains were considered ordinary wealth. The real treasures were the weapons and equipment that were shining with spiritual light. The power of the mountains. That's the power of the mountains. The legendary monk looked at a pair of black boxing gloves and stared blankly. Secret needle. The great creation of the arcane era. The legendary great divine object that can see through the river of time. The northern witch looked at a pocket watch and screamed, "Oh my God! That's the spear of thunder! The legendary weapon left behind by our Amazons!" The legendary Amazon roared excitedly. There were even more equipment. Shields, heavy hammers, giant axes, long swords, daggers, and even sets of armor and various accessories. At a glance, there were more than 100 legendary weapons and equipment. Each person would have more than 2 pieces. No wonder there were no drops after clearing the disaster's nest. It's all here. Soren sighed secretly. As the leader, he could no longer steal equipment. After all, reality was different from the game. It was impossible to loot corpses for equipment. However, Soren was not the least bit depressed. His freeloading EXP plan was perfectly realized. After clearing all the monsters in the disaster's nest, he was the only player present, so all the EXP went to him. At this moment, in Soren's game interface, the EXP pool had accumulated nearly 2 million EXP. This much EXP was enough for him to level up from level 12 to level 20. From level 20 to level 21, there was a checkpoint. That was legendary. Only by breaking through this checkpoint could he continue to gain EXP and level up. In order to reach legendary, some of Soren's basic skills had not been trained to a sufficient level and did not meet the promotion requirements. In the future, he would have to spend a lot of time training his skills. Of course, this was a blessing in disguise. Everyone, for these legendary equipment, each person can choose 2 that are suitable. If several people are interested in the same equipment at the same time, they will be distributed by rolling the dice. The weapons, equipment, gold coins, and gems in the ancient red dragon's treasure vault were the accumulation of its entire life. It was the spoils of war that came from countless robberies and defeating enemies. Legendary equipment was worthless to Li Yu. However, those gold coins and gems would be very useful to the Church of Holy Light in the future. Coincidentally, legendary masters were all big shots and did not have much need for money. Legendary equipment was what they were interested in. Gloria, help me collect these gold coins and gems. Li Yu waved his hand and collected the mountain of gold coins and gems. He put them into a portal bag and handed it to Gloria. Gloria was the Pope of the Church of Holy Light that Li Yu had decided on. In her hands, these items would be of great use in the future development of the Church. Everyone, in addition to these legendary equipment, the ancient red dragon itself is also a spoil of war. Dragon horns, dragon teeth, dragon scales, dragon skin, dragon bones, dragon blood, dragon tendons, the entire body of the ancient red dragon was a treasure. There was really nothing that could be wasted. Even the dragon penis. Many people were interested. After spending half a day, Under the professional skinning skill of the legendary Amazon, the huge ancient red dragon was completely dissected. Even the dragon meat and internal organs were used by the legendary Amazon's cooking skill. Under the flames of the lava lake, a huge grill was set up and the dragon was roasted into dried dragon meat. Let us mourn for the ancient red dragon for 3 seconds. Chapter 1425. This was a great victory. This was a glorious victory. Holy Light Envoy, His Highness Victor led a group of legends to attack the disaster nest, slay the immemorial red dragon, and save the southern countries. Good triumphed over evil. The southern countries avoided the fate of becoming a sea of fire. This was the salvation bestowed upon the land by the Holy Light. Holy Light, His Highness Victor gave a slight hint, and the kings and nobles of the southern countries instantly understood and did their best to promote this great victory. Praise the Holy Light! Praise the Holy Light, His Highness Victor! Praise the heroic dragon-slaying warrior! Cheers were everywhere. Every human territory in the southern continent was singing about this victory of justice. The greatness and holiness of the Holy Light was deeply ingrained in everyone's heart. The foundation has been established. Now it's time to become a god. Liu looked up at the sky and frowned slightly. Why aren't you falling down yet? If you don't fall down, I won't be able to directly go into your divine kingdoms to catch you. The gods were still doing their best to maintain their divine kingdoms that were on the verge of collapse. Because Liu had spread the holy light to all the churches, the gods were able to save the divine power needed to maintain their priests' divine arts. This seemed to have slightly increased the amount of time these gods could survive. Alright, since I'm going to fall down sooner or later, 1 or 2 more days won't matter. Even if the gods were able to save the divine power needed to maintain their priests' divine arts, they wouldn't be able to last much longer. They would fall down eventually. Although, this meant that Liu's plan of catching a few gods for research had to be delayed, it wouldn't affect the overall situation. I can't rashly ascend to God before I catch a god and thoroughly research them. I don't dare to rashly absorb the chaotic power of faith into my divine soul before I figure out how the believer's faith can corrode my mind, even if I'm only a divine clone. His divine soul had to be pure. Otherwise, it would shake his foundation and affect the integrity of his self. Then let's wait for a while. This was related to the cultivation of the 3rd step of chaos. He couldn't be too hasty. The foundation of the holy light in the mortal plane had already been established, so it was necessary to wait for a while. But I can't just sit around doing nothing. Liu had already made a plan. The god of holy light was only one part of his plan. The holy light represented order and light. According to Liu's plan, he still needed the power of chaos and darkness. Light and order, darkness and chaos, blended with each other and fused into one, thus deifying chaos. This was Liu's first attempt in this world, an attempt to deify chaos. So, I'm going to start thinking about the bottomless abyss now. The demons of the bottomless abyss represented the chaos and evil of the entire multiverse, which was very suitable for Liu's plan. The devils, who were creatures of lawful evil, were not suitable. Now I need to create a demon avatar in the abyss. Liu reached out and grabbed, and a dragon's soul appeared in his hand. This was the soul of the ancient red dragon, the dragon of disaster and destruction. Souls from all over the multiverse, other than the souls that have been brought back to their divine kingdoms by the gods, there are also many souls that have fallen into the endless abyss. Under the cleansing of the water of the Styx, they turned into abyssal worms on the banks of the Styx. These abyssal worms are the initial form of the demons. Liu looked at the dragon's soul in his hand and smiled. I wonder if a dragon's soul will turn into an abyssal worm or an abyssal dragon when it falls into the abyss. The abyss represented the chaos and evil of the entire multiverse. Liu wanted to manifest a god of darkness and chaos, and entering the bottomless abyss was also a shortcut. Then, what's the name of the new avatar? Wings of Death, Nisario, or Dark Dragon, Ajuan? Or perhaps Ajuan Nisario? With a wave of his hand, the dragon's soul in his hand was instantly stored in the resource vault and transferred to the main body. With Victor's current strength, it was not enough to silently send a soul into the bottomless abyss without attracting any attention. Naturally, he could only use the power of the main body. Unlike occupying the avatar, Victor, the souls in the bottomless abyss were marked with the mark of chaotic evil, so Liu could not let his soul be truly contaminated by the abyss. Of course, the abyss had no way of contaminating Liu's soul. Therefore, once Liu's avatar entered the bottomless abyss, it would immediately cause the laws of the abyss to vibrate and produce an intense resistance. This would not be in line with the intention of infiltrating. The soul of the ancient red dragon was a perfect substitute. Firstly, it was not Liu's own soul, so it was not a pity that it was contaminated by the chaotic and evil force of the abyss. Secondly, the quality of this soul was very high, its foundation was not bad, and it had great potential for development. As long as the memories of the ancient red dragon's soul were washed clean, it would be very easy to create a fictional Liu system, reconstruct the ancient red dragon's soul, and record my own memories into the dragon's soul. In the blink of an eye, Liu had created a soul of himself. Himself in the form of a dragon soul. I have my own memories, and I've added a true spirit imprint to this soul. In a sense, this soul can be considered as mine. The essence of a soul was very different, so it was very convenient to retrieve and fuse them. Moreover, it did not have any independent self, so it was very suitable to be placed in the abyss to be contaminated by chaos and evil. The true spirit imprint is not a soul, so it will not cause the laws of the abyss to interfere, but it can keep the soul awake and not be controlled by chaos and evil. Very good, let's do that. A stream of light flashed, crossing the void and falling into the bottomless abyss. The bottomless abyss was the representation of chaos and evil in the entire multiverse. Every inch of land and every wisp of aura in this place was filled with endless evil. The structure of the bottomless abyss was similar to a book. Every page represented a level in the bottomless abyss. He didn't know how many pages this book had. This was also the origin of the word endless in the bottomless abyss. On a certain level of the bottomless abyss, the wind of recovery blew on the Nether River. In the vast Nether River, the murky water roiled, and countless souls bobbed up and down in the wave. When this wind of recovery blew across the surface of the water, souls floated up from the waves and were blown to the shore of the Nether River. Rumble! A blood-colored cloud condensed in midair, and a rain of blood fell from the sky. The wind of recovery swept up the souls and dashed into the rain of blood in the sky. For a time, the wind and rain were dark. The souls floating in the wind merged with the raindrops in the rain of blood and fell to the shore of the Nether River, turning into blood cocoons. Countless evil lives were born in the blood cocoons. Among them was an unusual dragon soul. Bang! One day, among the blood cocoons on the shore of the Nether River, a cocoon larger than the others, with black runes flowing on its shell, suddenly exploded. A strange abyss worm about 2 meters long with horns on its head and a pair of dragon wings on its back darted out of the cocoon. My name is Ajuan Nisario. Under my wings, all things turn to ashes. Big Boss Lee had officially unleashed 2 powers. This was a suffocating operation. Chapter 1426. Slaughter was the eternal theme of the abyss. Every abyss demon, from the time they were still abyssal worms, slaughter was ingrained in their instincts. On the shore of the Nether River, blood-colored cocoons broke out one after another. Abyssal worms rushed out of the blood cocoons, killing and devouring each other. To evolve and grow, one must go through slaughter and devouring. Even if it's me, I can't avoid it. Audouin spread his dragon wings and rushed into the air. Even if he wanted to devour, as a clone created by Big Bossly, what Audouin wanted to devour was not those abyssal worms. Abyssal worms that had just come out of their eggshells were delicious food for abyssal demons. Every time the wind of recovery blew on the shore of the Nether River, it was a rare feast for inferior demons. Imps, commonly known as imps. They were the lowest demons whose status was only slightly higher than abyssal worms. Usually, imps were the slaves and food of other demons. Only during the season when abyssal worms were born would the imps enjoy a feast. Oh! Groups of imps screamed crazily and rushed to the shore of the Nether River like a tide, crazily devouring the abyssal worms on the ground. Demons were chaotic and evil. So, at this moment, the shore of the Nether River was in chaos. Not only were imps devouring abyssal worms, but abyssal worms were killing and devouring each other. Imps were also fighting and killing each other. The smell of blood filled the air. Oh! An imp suddenly saw Audouin flying in the air, and was very puzzled by this strange abyssal worm. But, with the imp's intelligence, it could only tell that this thing is edible. So, the imp screamed and shot a flame arrow at Audouin, who was flying in the air. Damn! You actually want to eat me? Audouin was still struggling with how to bite a pygmy monster like the imp, but when he saw the imp attack, he could not continue to struggle. Courting death, Audouin spread his wings and dodged the imp's flame arrow. His figure flashed and swooped down like an eagle pouncing on its prey. The sharp horn on the top of its head emitted a cold light and stabbed into the imp's chest, creating a huge hole. The power of demons originates from the heart. His white fangs flashed with a cold light as he swallowed the little demon's heart in one gulp. Boom! A flow of heat that was as hot as magma suddenly exploded in Audouin's stomach, and a blazing flame rushed up. Aolo, amidst the crazed roars, Audouin's body instantly grew in size. His chest and abdomen became thicker, and scales began to appear on his body. His abdomen had already grown the embryonic form of 4 claws. At this moment, Audouin's appearance was close to that of a baby dragon. I wonder how the abyssal dragons grow. If it was a surface dragon, a young dragon born from a dragon egg would definitely not need to go through the form of an abyssal worm. Forget it, filling our stomachs is more important. In the abyss, being weak was the greatest sin. Weak creatures didn't even have their own lives. Big Bossly had sent a clone here. If it died here, it would be too funny. Kill, after devouring an imp's heart, Audouin's strength had grown a lot, and it was much easier for him to kill imps. Slaughter. Devour. Endless slaughter. Endless devouring. Until Audouin roared. Within a radius of 10 miles, all the imps and abyssal worms were so scared that they crawled on the ground, trembling. The current Audouin was already more than 10 meters long, and his wingspan was more than 5 meters. He was completely in his dragon form. In front of the imps, he was already a huge monster. My name is Audouin. Lowly worms, die or submit. Audouin spread his wings, and his body was covered in black flames. He was extremely ferocious. Submit. Submit. Greetings, Lord Audouin. Surrender and betrayal were as simple as drinking water to the imp. There was no order in the abyss, but the strong were respected. This was an order that could be applied everywhere. Under Audouin's threat, the imps surrendered without any hesitation. Of course, once they found an opportunity, these imps would immediately betray without hesitation. Where's the nearest territory? Whose territory is it? Slaughter and war happened all the time in the abyss. If Audouin wanted to grow quickly, killing monsters was the only way. This was also the law of the abyss. The imp's power came from the heart. Devouring was the fastest way to grow, In front, after crossing a mountain, it will be Lord Fei Yi's territory. Lord Fei Yi is a powerful winged demon. Among these imps who surrendered, many of them came from the territory of this Lord Fei Yi. After surrendering, the imps sold out their original master without hesitation. Winged demon? That's passable. The winged demon was only one level higher than the imps. With Ajuin's current power, he was much stronger than the average winged demon. Getting rid of the so-called Lord Fei Yi would not be difficult. Lead the way. Ajuin roared as he led a group of little demons towards the territory of Lord Soaring Wings in a grandiose manner. This is Lord Fei Yi's territory? When Liu brought a group of imps over a mountain range that was spewing lava and filled with a strong smell of sulfur, the so-called Lord Fei Yi's territory was right in front of them. It was a cliff. The towering cliffs were filled with caves. At a glance there were at least a few hundred caves. A few hundred caves? Ajuin was shocked and quickly turned to look at the imps behind him. Who is this Lord Fei Yi you are talking about? Who? They are all Lord Fei Yi? The imps did not seem to understand Ajuin's words, their red eyes filled with doubt. All right. Ajuin sighed. The Lord Fei Yi that the imps mentioned was not just one winged demon, but a group of them. Originally, he wanted to pinch a soft persimmon, but he did not expect to encounter a tough battle. The winged demon's strongest point was mobility. If he fought with a group of winged demons in the air, he would definitely be besieged by them. Even if he won, he would have to pay a price. Kill! Ajuin immediately thought of a countermeasure. Since this group of winged demons had not come out of the cave, it was the perfect time to charge in and fight in close combat. The close combat ability of a giant dragon was extraordinarily strong. Casually finding the nearest cave, Ajuin spread his wings and charged in. Who is it? A winged demon lying in the cave heard the commotion and was about to shout. Suddenly, his vision turned black as a black figure pounced over. The sharp claws grabbed the winged demon's body and the huge mouth with dense fangs bit down on the winged demon's neck. Crack! Blood splattered and the winged demon died instantly. Another massacre was about to begin. Chapter 1427 Wings of Death. Dark Dragon. A month later, Ajuin had killed countless people and fought for thousands of miles. Because of his special hobby of only eating hearts, none of his enemies survived. This allowed him to become known as the Wings of Death and the Dark Dragon. Ajuin stood on top of a dilapidated rock fortress. His tyrannical dragon body was already 100 meters long. His body was covered in black scales like black crystals. He had ferocious horns and huge dragon wings. His entire body flickered with black flames. A month of killing and devouring had allowed Ajuin to grow continuously. At this moment, Ajuin was equivalent to a young dragon in the main plane. It's time to officially take up the profession. At this point, Ajuin had only relied on the natural instincts of a dragon. He had not started an official profession yet. Dragons had a tyrannical body and were born with the ability to cast spells. They were equivalent to the professions of warriors and warlock. However, the profession that Ajuin wanted to take up was not one of this world. Shadow and flame, blood and soul. With the power of Wings of Death Nethario and Dark Dragon Ajuin, the profession that I want to take up is suitable for warlocks of Azeroth. Holy light to the left, warlocks to the right. The power of darkness and chaos corresponded to the power of light and order. Then, let's start the warlock profession. Warlocks who enslaved demons were not suitable for the abyss. Ajuin's mind moved and touched the true soul imprint in his soul. Liu's body immediately responded. A dark and chaotic power was transmitted through the true soul imprint. Boom, shadow and flame intertwined. Black flames rushed into the sky. Pain. Suffering. My anger burns in the abyss. The world trembles because of me. Under my wings, all things turned to ashes. The overwhelming black flames covered the entire sky. A huge roar shook the world. At this moment, the abyss shook in the black flames and trembled in the roar. It was as if the laws of the abyss were resonating with Audouin's roar. Lord? Abyss Lord? How is this possible? In the distance, beside a huge lava lake, in a towering black iron castle, a Baylor was roaring furiously while holding a two-handed flaming greatsword. This is a Lord of the Abyss? No. Wasn't it the coronation? All I did was obtain the right to be a lord. In a crimson castle, an extremely beautiful succubus lay on a pink bed and lazily raised her head. Ha ha! The right to be a lord? How interesting! In the entire lava wilderness, this was the fourth demon that had obtained the qualifications to become an overlord, right? The balance has been broken. The succubus waved her finger that was painted with cardamom nail polish, chuckled, and lay down on the bed again. Find him. Find the challenger. A fear demon with a pair of giant horns on its head and a pair of bat wings on its back raised its battle axe and roared. The qualifications of an abyssal lord? The moment Audouin resonated with the abyssal laws, he understood what the so-called abyssal lord qualification meant. The abyssal laws were the amalgamation of chaos and evil in the entire multiverse. Slaughter and destruction were the best embodiment of this chaotic and evil force. The appearance of multiple lords of the abyss in a single level of the abyss meant that these abyss devils who had obtained the qualifications to become lords of the abyss were constantly fighting and killing one another. This is also in line with my plan, then let's have a good fight. Audouin's body burst into black flames, and his entire body underwent a drastic change from a dragon to a human form. This was the dragon's ultimate shapeshifting, which allowed the dragon to transform into the form of other intelligent creatures. Audouin was Liyu's clone, so his aesthetic was naturally no different from Liyu's. Although the dragon form was strong, it was not beautiful at all. How could a man who was destined to become a god not have a perfect form? After becoming an Azeroth warlock and obtaining the abyssal laws, Audouin's strength had increased tremendously, and he could already use the ultimate shape-shifting. Not bad. This form is more pleasing to the eye. Audouin moved his limbs and felt that this human form was easier to use. Lord Audouin? You. Under the dilapidated fortress, a group of demons looked up at Audouin, who was standing at the top of the fortress, with faces full of shock. Lord Audouin's appearance was clearly human, right? In the eyes of demons, humans were food. Why did Lord Audouin become like this? Clean up the fortress and collect the spoils. We'll continue the attack tomorrow. Audouin instructed, and with a flash of his body, he landed in the dilapidated fortress, no longer caring about the chaotic demons outside. This dilapidated fortress was the territory of a Hezru. After Audouin killed the Hezru, he took over the dilapidated fortress and used it as a temporary place to stay. In the main plane, I'm now a level 14 warlock, and can be considered a high-level professional. However, my strength is still too far away. To become an abyssal lord, one had to be at least a legendary. The other 3 abyssal lords were probably already in the legendary realm. With Audouin's current strength, he could not face any of the abyssal lords head-on. Leveling up is the way to go. For Audouin to level up, other than killing demons and devouring their hearts to let the abyssal demon dragon continue to grow, he could also level up through his warlock profession by killing monsters. This could be considered as the coexistence of 2 growth paths. Since I'm in human form, I can use equipment. The dragon form was not suitable for weapons, but the human form was very convenient. Audouin stepped into the dilapidated fortress and walked into the room of the fortress's original owner. After the death of the Hezru, Audouin obtained a 20-meter-long hammer covered in spikes from its body. Although the forging was very crude, it was simply unsightly. However, the material of this hammer was abyss magic iron, and its quality was not bad. I'll refine it and use it as a weapon. With a wave of his hand, the huge abyss magic iron hammer disappeared. Through the true soul imprint, it was stored in the system's resource vault. Decompose, refine, and reshape. A 1.8-meter-long two-handed axe appeared in Ajuin's hands. The pitch-black axe blade emitted a cold light, and a strange rune was engraved on the surface of the axe, as if it represented the dark force of the entire multiverse. Axe of Extinction, Ajuin's Dark Judgment. This was the name of the axe. The newly forged Axe of Extinction was already a legendary weapon, and it had the potential to become a divine weapon. It was not inferior to the cloud-severing sword in Victor's hands. Since I'm in human form, I have to wear clothes. There was still a lot of the ancient red dragon's skin left, and after refining it in the resource vault, a set of black robes appeared in front of Ajuin. With this set of equipment, my strength has increased by a lot. I can continue to fight. Chapter 1428. I'm a warlock. I'm actually using an axe to play berserker? Ajuin laughed and shook his head. Liking close combat, is this an instinct of the dragon soul? Being a warlock in Azeroth was just an enhancement for Ajuin. There would be no restrictions. It was impossible for him to not be able to use a two-handed axe or play close combat. With such a strong body, it's a waste to only use spells. Might as well adjust it, it's cheating anyway. Let's add a warrior class to the warlock class in Azeroth. Reconnecting with the true soul imprint and combining the warrior and warlock models, Ajuin became an enhanced version of Demon Hunter. A Demon Hunter model with both warlock skills and warrior skills. This was obviously cheating. If it weren't for the fact that the Death Knight class could only be taken by the dead, I would actually prefer the Death Knight model. However, this dual-class version of the Demon Hunter was already shameless enough. He couldn't go too far, right? Bang! Bang! Ouch! At this time, outside the broken castle, the group of demon subordinates that Ajuin had subdued had already started fighting. Damn it! This is the flaw of a chaotic lineup. Discipline doesn't exist at all. Ajuin sighed helplessly and walked out of the broken castle with his axe. Stop! He swung his axe fiercely and killed until blood flowed like a river. Finally, the chaos was suppressed. All of you stand still. Whoever moves will die. Shaking off the blood on his axe, Ajuin stared coldly at the demons under his command. At this moment, Ajuin's team was not small. All in all, there were more than 100,000 demons. More than half of them were imps, the rest were winged demons, dretches, chain demons, spider demons, and a small number of succubi. They were all lower demons, and there were only 100 middle demons and succubi. This strength, they were all cannon fodder. My team has just started, I can't ask for too much. Ajuin shook his head speechlessly. But, it seems like I can use something similar to holy light? The power of a god came from faith. In the entire multiverse, there had never been a god that could only make demons believe in him. With a demon's chaotic soul, what was faith? Can it be eaten? I wonder if I can create a group of demon worshippers? Anyway, the purpose of coming to this world was to do experiments. Studying the souls of demons and making them produce faith is also a topic worth researching. Li Yu's doppelganger and his original body were one. Both Li Yu's original body and Victor received Ajuin's thoughts at the same time. At this moment, Li Yu's main body became interested. Victor, the Holy Light Envoy, almost laughed out loud. Alright, it's just an experiment anyway. Whether it succeeds or not is one thing. Let's try it out first. Li Dali expressed that he might be soft-hearted when cheating others, but cheating demons, he didn't feel any pressure at all. Let's give it a try. Raising his axe, Audouin carved a huge rune magic circle on the square outside the broken fortress. "The little devil over here, come over and stand on the array." With a wave of his axe, Audouin selected more than 1,000 imps and drove them into the array. Little devils are everywhere. Even if the experiment fails, it won't be a pity even if they die. Audouin waved his hand and a stream of magic entered the array. The array trembled and a huge amount of dark energy flowed in the array, enveloping all the imps who stood in the array. This was an enslavement array. A demon warlock's array to enslave demons. Liu modified the formation a little. On the basis of the formation's enslavement, he added a trust element. Big Boss Li, who had played with the loyalty mark countless times, after studying the power of faith of the Holy Light and combining it with the power of Buddhism's conversion, he upgraded the loyalty mark again and turned it into the trust mark. Put down the butcher's knife. Sakako, my lord. Worship. Faith. There was only God in their hearts, nothing else. The moment the dark radiance shrouded the array, all the imps in the array screamed in unison. Painful wails. Heart-wrenching screams. Then, with a bang, all the imps in the array exploded. Blood, bones, and flesh splattered everywhere like raindrop. Did it fail? What's the reason? The trust mark was clearly applied. Why did it explode? This result was very normal. Wasn't it normal for an experiment to fail? Anyway, there were many experimental materials. He could just continue the research. All of you, stand up there. Audouin waved his hand again and pointed at a group of imps. Sir, please spare us. Please spare us. The group of little demons that were pointed at by Audouin shrieked in fright and knelt on the ground, kowtowing and begging for mercy. If you don't go, die. With a wave of his hand, a shadow arrow rain whizzed out. The densely packed shadow arrows covered the group of imps who were kowtowing and begging for mercy like raindrops. A round of shadow arrow rain turned thousands of imps into minced meat. All of you, stand up there. Audouin pointed at a group of imps and roared loudly. If you go, you'll die. If you don't go, you'll die. Run. Thousands of imps screamed and fled pathetically. You dare to run? Go to hell. Audouin waved his hand and black flames surged all over his body. A pair of pitch-black dragon wings swept up black flames and flapped at the fleeing imps. Under my wings, all things turned to ashes. The black flames swept out and burned thousands of imps who were running away into ashes. All of you, stand up there. Black flames swirled and Audouin pointed at the next group of imps. If you go, you'll die. If you don't go, you'll die. If you run, you'll die even more. In the end, the imps could only submit and stand obediently in the array. The enslavement array was activated again and the trust mark was imprinted on the imps' souls. Another blood-curdling scream rang out, and another explosion rang out. However, this time, there were still a few imps who were not dead. So it's like this. Their souls aren't strong enough. These imps are useless and don't even have the right to be imprinted. The fusion of thousands of imps' souls only produced less than 10 imps. However, Audouin was very satisfied. The experiment was a success. The remaining few little demons were completely different. The remaining imps had not only become Audouin's believers, but their strength had also skyrocketed. They had become almost 2 meters tall, muscular, with 2 horns on their heads and sharp claws and fangs. Giant imps. It's said that every demon form has the possibility of growing to the extreme. For example, the succubus queen grew into a demon lord in her succubus form. These imps are in such a situation. Compared to the previous imps, the current giant imps were on a completely different level. They were already very valuable. Not only could they strengthen the imps, but they could also imprint the trust mark and turn the imps into believers. Then the experiment continued. Chapter 1429. There are only 500 little demons left. After driving all the little demons into the enslavement array, 50,000 went in and 500 came out. 500 little demons that were more than 2 meters tall and as strong as barbarians were quite satisfactory. These little demons are already considered elite models, right? They can't be considered ordinary cannon fodder. From their aura, these little demons were almost at the level of middle-level demons. Even in the hands of the demon lords, they could be considered cannon fodder. Although 100 little demons can only be combined into one elite little demon, but there are as many little demons as you want. Audouin felt that this elite version of the little demons was worth promoting. Other than the little demons, all the other demons need to be transformed. Next, Audouin drove the winged demons, dretch demons, chain demons, and even succubi into the enslavement array. After a round of transformation, the demons, from their bodies to their souls, underwent a huge change. The quantity was greatly reduced, and the quality was improved. When the succubi that stepped into the enslavement array were also transformed, there were less than 2,000 demons left in Audouin's demon army. The higher the demon's level, the stronger the soul. After transformation, the loss of quantity will be reduced. After the succubi were imprinted with the mark of Chong Xian, the number of succubi was only reduced by half. Compared to the little demons that could only be combined into one, the success rate was much higher. The soul strength of 2 succubi is enough to complete the transformation of believers. Very good. There are not many things in the abyss, but demons are simply endless. Conquering the abyss and turning all the demons into believers of the Lord of Darkness Audouin. How meaningful was this? My Lord Audouin, you are the origin of darkness, you are the embodiment of death, you are the master of all demons. Praise the Lord. Praise the great Audouin. Nearly 2,000 demons that were transformed knelt in front of Audouin with a devout face, constantly kowtowing and praying. This scene was very strange. One by one, evil demons worshipped with a devout face, holy and evil at the same time. The sense of incongruity was simply indescribable. They can really produce the power of faith. The dark runes on the giant axe in his hand shone slightly. He actually received a lot of faith from these 2,000 demons. These demon believers are all fanatics? Fanatics were equivalent to terrorists. It wasn't surprising at all that a demon believer had turned into a fanatic. In any case, Liu was not here to contribute to world peace. Fanatics were one of the most devout believers. For Liu, it was naturally very suitable. Audouin smiled and nodded. Liu's original body glanced at him and ignored him. Victor was speechless for a long time. The holy light had been tossing and turning for so long, but there weren't many devout believers. With Audouin's fooling around, he gained 2,000 fanatics all of a sudden. The price-performance ratio was simply incomparable. Such a brutal preaching method is not befitting of the Holy Light's identity. Although Victor was envious, he could only give up helplessly. The Holy Light was too sacred, and it was too restrictive when doing things. Evil gods were more convenient and could do whatever they wanted. Finally, we've managed to pull out a decent team. Audouin waved his hand and wiped out the enslavement circle on the ground. He lifted his giant axe and pointed to the north. Conquer. Slaughter. His next target was Lava Castle. Let's go. Kill. 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 2,000 demon worshippers roared and rushed out in the direction that Audouin had pointed out. Alright, no matter how much you modify them, demons are still chaotic creatures. Don't count on things like discipline. Even after becoming a believer, the chaotic and evil nature of demons did not change. The only change was that in front of Audouin, they were all extremely devout fanatics. Audouin shrugged his shoulders, lifted his axe, and followed. Lava Castle was the territory of a fire bailer. In the endless abyss, bailers were a race at the top of the pyramid. According to the evolution path of demons, Balers were high-level demons and were the peak of demon evolution. Every Baler had a creature level of level 20. In other words, the strength of a Baler could grow to the equivalent of a level 20 professional. This was only a creature's characteristics and did not take into account the professional level. Balers could also become professionals and increase their professional level. The Baler in Lava Castle belongs to the same race as the Lava Duke, Janutu. Its strength is only equivalent to a level 18 professional. It's just right to start with him, although doing so would definitely infuriate the Duke of Lava, Nutu. But Ajuin was in the territory of the Lava Duke. If they didn't harm him, who else could they harm? It doesn't matter whose territory it is. Who told you to be so unlucky? Ajuin sneered. Black flames rushed out from behind him, and a pair of dragon wings appeared on his back. Spreading his dragon wings, Ajuin soared into the sky and whizzed in the direction of Lava Castle. Lava Castle. This was a demon castle in the crater of a volcano. The gigantic volcano stood tall. Thick smoke, raging flames, ashes, and sulfur made the entire sky scorching hot and dark. In the crater of the volcano, there was boiling hot magma in the middle. It was surrounded by dark red cliffs around the crater of the volcano. On the crimson cliff, there were wide roads carved out of it, and countless buildings were built on them. This was Lava Castle, the territory of the Baler, the Slayer Daimesen. Demons had no such thing as family. As a member of the same race as the Lava Duke, Daimasen's only advantage was that he successfully lived to adulthood. Then, he was slapped away by the Lava Duke and chased out. He landed in this remote and harsh place, occupied the crater of a volcano, built a castle, and ruled over a group of demons. It could be said that he had started a family business. But someone actually dared to have designs on his territory. Slayer Daimesen? A figure covered in black flames and with a pair of dragon wings on his back held a giant axe. He pointed at Daimesen and coldly roared, "Submit or die." Worm, you're courting death. The Baler was not an ordinary demon. It was a high-level demon. A race that stood at the top of the pyramid of the abyss was naturally not good-tempered. Of course, demons were not good-tempered either. Boom. Flames surged into the sky as the Baler's body erupted with endless flames. Streams of magma swirled around the Baler demon. Howl in the flames. Worm. The Baler raised a flaming executioner's sword high in the air and viciously slashed down at Ajuin. With a slash of the sword, flames filled the sky. The boiling magma in the crater of the volcano violently erupted under this slash. The mighty magma was like a surging river as it swept towards Ajuin. Chapter 1430. As expected of a flame Baler. Truly extraordinary. Ajuin looked at the raging flames that blotted out the sky and the lava that swept in all directions and sighed inwardly. Then, Ajuin turned and ran. In terms of strength, if Ajuin didn't use cheats, he would be a bit weaker than this Slayer Daimesen. In terms of creature level, Ajuin's dragon physique was stronger than the Flame Baler physique. But Ajuin's profession model had just been activated and hadn't leveled up yet. Slayer Daimasen's profession level was at least level 18, much higher than Ajuin. Of course, this wasn't the reason why Ajuin ran. Who was Ajuin? Li De Li's clone. What was Li De Li good at? Yes, it was cheating people. Fighting to the death and then using cheats to counterattack. This wasn't Li De Li's style. Want to run? Bug, you can't run. Seeing Ajuin run after acting cool, Daimesen was furious. More than that. Monstrous flames rushed up like a volcano erupting into the sky. Burning clouds of fire engulfed heaven and earth. Daimesen rode on endless flames and raised his sword. He roared towards the sky and chased after Ajuin. There were at least a few 100,000 evil demons in the lava castle. How many followers did Audouin have? Less than 2,000. Even if 3,000 troops sweep the world, Audouin didn't even have 3,000 subordinate. The difference in power was so big. Wasn't attacking a city just courting death? Evil demons had a chaotic nature and didn't care about loyalty. As long as Daimazan was killed, subduing the evil demons in the lava castle would be effortless. In that case, what was the point of attacking a city? Wasn't it more worthwhile to lure Daimazan out and kill him? Bug, you offended the Slayer. Only death awaits you. Daimazan rode on monstrous flames and chased after him. Audouin fled at high speed. Then, he stopped at the edge of a cliff. Evil demons rushed out from behind the cliff. There were nearly 2,000 evil demons in total. Oh? This is your scheme? 2,000 evil demons? Bug, you are really naive. I will let you know how strong the Slayer is. Seeing the 2,000 evil demons rushing out from behind the cliff, Daimazan was a little surprised. These 2,000 demons had all evolved to the extreme and had the talent to become high-level demons. However, the strongest were only a group of succubi, and the rest were low-rank demons. Even if he had evolved to the extreme, he could still kill him with a single slash. Daimazan sneered and raised the giant beheading sword. Raging flames condensed on the beheading sword, and the superior demon's intimidating aura instantly erupted. This was a level suppression. Under the spirit light of intimidation of a higher demon, the lower demons simply had no power to resist. Even if one's innate talent was very strong, even if they had evolved to the peak of their current rank, as long as they weren't high demons, they wouldn't be able to withstand the spiritual light of intimidation. Unfortunately, these demons weren't the demons that Daimazan had imagined. For the glory of Audouin, our Lord is watching us. Demon fanatics, this kind of existence that was even more terrifying than brainless fans, had long evolved into extreme terrorists. How could such a monster have any fear? Why would he care about the spiritual light of intimidation? We never ask who the enemy is, we only ask, where is he? Under the power of faith, the fearless demon fanatics loudly chanted the holy name of Audouin and bravely charged at Daimazan. What is this situation? The scene in front of him completely distorted Daimazan's view of the world. Ignoring the spirit light of intimidation of a higher demon was one thing, but shouting the name of a god and shouting, "Our Lord," what was this situation? Demons and gods were natural enemies. Daimazan naturally wasn't unfamiliar with gods. But the demons believed in gods? What kind of joke was this? Daimazan was already stunned. It was no wonder he was stunned. Demons believed in gods, and demons became believers. This was even more shocking than a monk saying, "the immeasurable deity." This was even more frightening than a capitalist loudly singing "Rise, starving and cold slaves." Then, there was something even more frightening. For the glory of Audouin, one by one, the evil demons rushed to Daimazan's side. Without hesitation, they resolutely self-detonated. Boom! 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 A series of self-detonations made Daimazan dizzy. His brain was in a daze, and his flesh and blood flew everywhere. Killed imps and winged demons. Killed winged demons and dretch demons. There was no end to it, it was simply endless. Demon fanatics, demon terrorists, let me ask you, are you afraid? Afraid. Daimazan was already scared silly. Audouin's dark judgment. Audouin leapt up, and while Daimazan was still dizzy from the self-detonation, he swung his giant axe and heavily chopped down on Daimazan's body. With a mournful scream, Daimazan's huge body was chopped in half by Audouin's axe. Submit or die. Raising his giant axe, Audouin stepped on Daimazan's head and roared coldly. The Slayer will never submit. Even though he was defeated, Daimazan was still very unyielding. Higher demons were different from normal demons, and their self-awareness was much stronger. Compared to those lower demons who surrendered at the mere sight of the wind, they more or less had some backbone. This kind of higher demon seems to be more suitable to be converted into a believer. Auduin was somewhat reluctant to kill Dimison. Never submit? I hope you can remain unyielding until the end. Fear, curse of pain and soul fire. The warlocks of Azeroth were very proficient in the power of pain. Ah, the pain of his soul burning made Dimison let out a mournful scream. I don't know how effective the enslavement array is on the Baler, let's experiment first. With a wave of his hand, the Baler's magma-like blood flowed out and continuously twisted, creating an enslavement array on the ground. With a trembling sound, the enslavement array burst out with a deep shadow, covering Dimison's body. The mournful scream was earth-shattering. The crazy roars made Auduin's ears ring. After struggling for a while, Dimison's soul was already marked with the mark of reverence, and he had officially become a believer of Auduin. My lord, please forgive me for my offense. The shadow on the enslavement array dissipated, and Dimison dragged half of his body and knelt in front of Auduin, pious and terrified. A powerful demon fanatic was born. Repair the body and then go to your lava castle. Auduin waved his hand and gave Dimison an order. Yes. Dimison grabbed half of the body and pressed it against his waist. The terrifying regenerative ability of a higher demon allowed Dimison to repair his body in an instant. My lord, please follow me. Dimison's eyes were respectful and fanatical. This was yet another demon terrorist. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.